On her wedding night, she lost her virginity to a strange man. She thought it was her husband, but she didn't know that her husband was spending a good night with his sweetheart at that time. 3 months later, he threw a pregnancy certificate in her face. Fang Jinnian, you'd better explain to me clearly. I, Jing Nancheng, have never touched you. How did this child come from? Her husband glared at her angrily. Fang Jinnian's mind was blank. In revenge, her husband did not divorce her, but abused her for 5 years and agreed to let her give birth to the child. 001, half dream, half reality. Their night was deep and quiet. In a luxurious presidential suite, Fang Jinnian lay asleep on the king-sized bed. She was dreaming a strange dream where she found herself adrift in an endless ocean. Her body felt like a lone sailboat, rising and falling with the waves, directionless and out of control. Desperately, she tried to grab hold of something, anything to anchor herself. Her fingers flailed in the air until they finally landed on a strong, solid arm. Like clutching at a lifeline, she gripped it tightly. With that, her drifting body seemed to stabilize a little, but then an inexplicable sensation rose from deep within her, uncomfortable and intense. She couldn't quite describe what it was: anxiety, tension, like she was about to drown at any moment. Millimeter. Suddenly, she gasped sharply. Startled awake from the dream, she forced her eyes open in pain, only to see a man's body above her. His muscular frame glowed a blinding white under the silver moonlight. She couldn't see his face clearly, but from what little she could make out, his features were extraordinarily handsome. The large hand gripping her waist was defined, slender, and strong. Raising her hand instinctively, she reached out to touch his brows, murmuring without thinking, "Nancheng, is that you? You finally come to see me." The man's sharp eyes narrowed the moment he heard that name, instantly turning cold and piercing. Just as her fingers were about to touch his face, he turned his head to the side, deliberately avoiding her touch. R. A woman's scream suddenly echoed through the room. Fang Jinnian felt herself tossed back into that terrifying sea, once more tumbling, overwhelmed until everything went black. When Fang Jinnian woke again, it was already the next morning. She opened her eyes, her head throbbing with waves of dull pain, a classic hangover. Lifting a hand to rub her swollen temples, she sat up slowly. But the moment she moved, a sharp pain coursed through her body, making her wince. It felt like she'd been run over by a truck. Her bones were about to fall apart. She let out a soft cry, cold sweat already forming on her forehead. Enduring the pain, she sat up and looked around the room. She couldn't remember how she ended up here. The last thing she recalled was drinking at a bar with her best friend Yun Meng. Everything after that was a blank. She assumed Yun Meng must have brought her up here. Every detail in the room was tastefully designed, clearly expensive. But the overall tone of the decor leaned cold, giving the entire space a sense of oppressive chill. Her eyes swept from the furniture to the furnishings, and finally landed on the luxurious wool carpet and the scattered clothing. Her brows furrowed. Something jolted inside her, and she instinctively looked down at herself. God, she wasn't wearing anything. That strange, unreal dream from the night before surged back into her mind all at once. She froze, then looked around the room again. "Nancheng," she called softly, tentatively. No response. Only the echo of her own voice. Clutching the blanket, she got off the bed and rushed to the bathroom. "Nancheng." No one. She dashed into the living room. Still no one. Standing there in a daze, Fang Jinnian began to question whether it had all just been a hallucination. But it had felt so real. And given the soreness in her body, she wasn't a naive little girl. She knew what had happened. Suddenly remembering something, she hurried back to the bedroom. Standing beside the bed, she looked down at the pristine white sheets now stained with delicate spots of red. Her mind went blank with a loud boom. Her cheeks turned bright red. Last night wasn't a dream at all. 002 entered the wrong room. Half an hour later, Fang Jinnian finally stepped out of the room. As she closed the door behind her, her gaze unintentionally swept across the room number 8828. Even now, she still hadn't realized she had entered the wrong room last night. Meanwhile, directly across the hall in room 8818, a man and a woman were still tangled together in passionate embrace. The man was none other than their husband. She'd waited all day for Jing Nancheng. Lu Jingchen returned from his morning meeting to find the room filled with nothing but cold air. His deep, unfathomable black eyes darkened slightly. Have you found out who the woman was? He asked as he walked further into the suite, addressing the assistant following behind. Yes, third young master, we've found out. Chen Ming began reporting everything he'd just uncovered. That woman is Jing Nancheng's new wife. Her name is Fang Jinnian, second daughter of the Fang family. They held their wedding banquet right here in our hotel yesterday. However. At that, Chen Ming hesitated slightly. However what? Lu Jingchen had already walked to the bedroom doorway. Seeing the neatly made bed inside, his brows raised subtly. Did housekeeping come by already? He asked, glancing sideways at his assistant. Our Chen Ming was momentarily stunned before quickly replying, no. Without your permission, I didn't let anyone enter. Hearing that, Lu Jingchen's eyes grew darker. He turned and let his gaze fall on the freshly tidied bed. A seductive smile slowly curved on his lips, one that hinted at amusement, intrigue, and something deeper. How interesting. You were saying, however, what? He asked again as he walked back toward the living room. Lu Jingchen's thoughts always jumped quickly, sometimes so fast that even Chen Ming struggled to keep up. Fortunately, over the years, he had adapted well. However, Jing Nancheng didn't show up at all yesterday. Lu Jingchen paused mid-pour as he was pouring himself a drink, then continued as if that brief distraction had never happened. He took a sip, his tall figure leaning against the bar counter. Under the dazzling lights, his sharp features became even more refined and captivating. Even Chen Ming, a grown man, couldn't help but be a little shaken. No wonder the media described him as a man who could seduce the world. The phrase wasn't exaggerated in the slightest. With this man, even a single glance could make someone lose their mind. His every movement exuded the aura of a king. That noble presence was like royalty, unreachable and awe-inspiring. So the entire wedding yesterday was completed by that woman alone? Lu Jingchen asked, a trace of surprise in his tone. Yes. Chen Ming nodded. And one more thing. What is it? Yesterday, Jing Guopeng booked a presidential suite here for them. But Fang Jinnian never showed up. Instead, Jing Nancheng checked in with another woman. Lu Jingchen's brows furrowed slightly upon hearing this. He couldn't help but recall the drunken woman's whispered words from last night. The room number 8818. So that woman had completely entered the wrong room. Lu Jingchen didn't say another word. He took another sip of red wine. In his deep, dark eyes shimmered a cold, unfathomable glint. It was hard to tell if it was admiration or amusement. Either way, it was impossible to read. 003, are you pregnant? 3 months later. A quarterly summary meeting is being held in the Jing Group conference room. Fang Jinnian, who was sitting at the table, had a pale face and his stomach was cramping. Cai Yunmeng, who was sitting next to her, noticed her abnormality and gently pulled her hand from under the chair. Jinnian, what's wrong with you? I don't know. I feel a little uncomfortable in my stomach. Isn't it possible that you ate something bad this morning? As soon as Cai Yunmeng finished speaking, Fang Jinnian covered his mouth and stood up from the chair, not caring how unreasonable his behavior was, and ran straight to the bathroom outside. Jing Nancheng, who was sitting at the top and presiding over the meeting, was interrupted by her sudden action. His brows were furrowed in displeasure, and the senior executives looked at each other. Cai Yunmeng stood up and nodded to everyone apologetically. I'll go see her. Having said that, he ran out. The meeting was forced to adjourn. Jing Nancheng looked a little ugly and the atmosphere became solemn. In order to ease the atmosphere, the head of the purchasing department joked, Boss Jing, it looks like your wife is pregnant. It would have been fine if he hadn't said this. As soon as Jing Nancheng heard this, his face turned dark. What did you say? The extremely oppressive gaze shot towards the face of the purchasing director. The head of the purchasing department was startled and said tremblingly, my wife is pregnant now and this is the symptom. Before he could finish his words, Jing Nancheng had already stood up from his chair and strode towards the door. In the bathroom, Fang Jinnian lay on the toilet and vomited out all the breakfast he had eaten in the morning. He was still retching. Cai Yunmeng patted her back and looked at her worriedly. Jinnian, do you want to go to the hospital? Fang Jinnian waved his hand and said with a forced breath, maybe I ate something bad recently. It's like this every morning. Is it like this every day? Cai Yunmeng was surprised. Yeah. Fang Jinnian took the paper she handed over, wiped his mouth, raised his hand to flush the toilet, and finally sat down on the toilet lid listlessly. Sometimes when I see something greasy, I feel like vomiting.
Oh my god, Jinnian, you wouldn't. What's wrong with me?
Fang Jinnian looked up at her, confused. Cai Yunmeng quickly turned around and looked outside. Seeing that there was no one outside, she cautiously closed the toilet door behind her. There were only the two of them in the cramped space. She said to her in a voice that only the two of them could hear, "Are you pregnant?"
Pregnant?
Fang Jinnian was stunned by her words. After a while, he came to his senses and said, "No way." She was not confident. Except for the wedding night, Jing Nancheng had not even returned home in the past few months. She would not be so lucky to get pregnant the first time. Although she said no, her fingers had already involuntarily covered her lower abdomen. If she really gets pregnant, she would love it. This is her and Nancheng's child. Perhaps, Nancheng will change his mind for the sake of the child. "Tell me, how long has it been since you had your period?" Cai Yunmeng asked her. 004, check the results. When talking about her period, Fang Jinnian almost forgot that she is still a woman. On the second day after her marriage, her father-in-law assigned her to Jing's design department. In order to live up to her father-in-law's expectations and not want to be looked down upon by Jing Nancheng, she worked hard to adapt to the new environment. Although she was parachuted into the design department, she only skipped the tedious interviews and her position was still a very humble assistant. As soon as she joined the company, her department received a big order. These days, she devoted herself to her work day and night and had long forgotten about her period. In addition, her menstrual period was irregular, so when it came, it came. If it didn't come, she didn't take it seriously and didn't take it to heart at all. Seeing her like this, Cai Yunmeng slapped his forehead and said, "Oh my god, you must have forgotten your own period. I've been too busy lately." Fang Jinnian also felt that he was being ridiculous. "Then recall when was your last menstrual period?" "Last time." Fang Jinnian thought for a moment, "It seemed to be before we got married." "Before getting married?" Cai Yunmeng was shocked again. "I always say no." "Sister, if you don't allow it, how can you not have your period for 3 months? You are not in menopause, don't say anything, you are probably pregnant. After the meeting, let Jing Nancheng take you to the hospital for a checkup." As he was speaking, there were knocks on the door behind Cai Yunmeng. "Fang Jinnian, are you in there?" Fang Jinnian and Cai Yunmeng were startled. "Isn't this Jing Nancheng's voice? What is he doing in the women's restroom? Open the door." Jing Nancheng yelled impatiently and punched the door hard again. It looked like the door panels were about to be removed. Cai Yunmeng quickly unlocked the door, but before she could open it, Jing Nancheng, with a look of anger on his face, slapped the door open. The cold gaze became several degrees colder when it fell on Fang Jinnian, who was sitting on the toilet with a pale face. "Are you pregnant?" Jing Nancheng went straight to the point and asked directly without using even a single unnecessary word. The cold eyes looked at her, as if they wanted to tear her into pieces. "Nancheng, is it or isn't it?" Jing Nancheng stared at her, his eyes frighteningly cold. "Jing Nancheng, what's your attitude? Jinnian is your wife. Regardless of whether she is pregnant or not, you shouldn't talk to her in such a tone." Cai Yunmeng stood up for Fang Jinnian. "Fang Jinnian, I'll ask you one last time, yes or no." Jing Nancheng ignored Cai Yunmeng's words, gritted his teeth, and fixed his eyes on Jinnian. "I don't know." Fang Jinnian stood up and told the truth. On the hospital corridor, Fang Jinnian had just finished a checkup and looked a little weak. Cai Yunmeng sat with her on the bench, waiting for the test results. Jing Nancheng was standing by the window at the end of the corridor, smoking a cigarette. After coming out of the bathroom, he ended the meeting and drove them directly to the hospital. "Fang Jinnian, who is that?" The nurse called softly from the door of the doctor's office. "Here." Cai Yunmeng replied. "The test results are out, follow me in." Hearing this, Jing Nancheng threw the cigarette butt in his hand into a trash can not far away and walked over quickly. "Take the lead and walk into the doctor's office." Cai Yunmeng supported Fang Jinnian and then came in. "What are the test results?" Jing Nancheng asked the doctor directly without much patience. 005, pregnant with bastard. The female doctor raised her head and glanced at him. Are you so anxious after becoming a father? Jing Nancheng grasped the key point of her words, and his hawk-like eyes tightened. What did you say? Judging from your appearance, you must be the husband of a pregnant woman. Congratulations, your wife is 3 months pregnant and the baby is very healthy. As he said this, the doctor handed over the pregnancy certificate. Jing Nancheng looked at the pregnancy certificate she handed over, and it was like a punch to his face. He was hesitant to take it. His hands hanging at his sides were clenched into fists. The veins on the back of his hands bulged due to the force, and his eyes were bloodshot. When Cai Yunmeng heard the doctor's words, she cheered in surprise. Jinnian, you are really pregnant. You are going to be a mother. Fang Jinnian's eyes also turned red with excitement. But the next second, the joyful atmosphere in the office was interrupted by Jing Nancheng's loud shout. Fang Jinnian, come home with me. He struggled to snatch the pregnancy certificate from the doctor's hand. Without even looking at Fang Jinnian, he turned around and walked out of the office directly. Fang Jinnian didn't know why Jing Nancheng suddenly felt this way. However, if you think about it carefully, he must not want this child. Also, how could a person who doesn't even want to attend a wedding accept this sudden child? However, no matter whether he wants it or not, she will never abort the child. Fang Jinnian swore secretly in his heart. After thanking the doctor, Fang Jinnian and Cai Yunmeng followed him out. As soon as I walked out of the hospital, I saw Jing Nancheng's eye-catching Hummer parked on the side of the road. The window of the cab was rolled down, and he was smoking a cigarette. Half of his evil face was hidden in the smoke and sunlight, revealing an indescribable evil charm. They walked over. Take a taxi yourself. Jing Nancheng threw the cigarette butt to the ground and said coldly at Cai Yunmeng. Cai Yunmeng is worried about Jinnian. Jinnian patted her hands and whispered in her ear, don't worry, everything will be fine. I'm pregnant with his child now. Then you must be careful. Call me if anything happens. Cai Yunmeng reminded her. Then he walked towards Jing Nancheng and warned him through the car window, Jing Nancheng, Jinnian is pregnant with your child now, you should be nice to her. My child. Har. Jing Nancheng sneered as if he had heard a joke. There was no warmth in his smile and the expression on his face was terribly ashen. Fang Jinnian and Cai Yunmeng were both shocked by his behavior. Are you sure the bastard in her belly is really mine? Jing Nancheng's cold gaze swept across Fang Jinnian's lower abdomen. His eyes seemed to want to cut her into pieces. Jing Nancheng, what do you mean by this? Cai Yunmeng didn't understand. Jinnian on the side was even more confused. He just used the word bastard. Get in the car. Jing Nancheng was too lazy to explain to them and just coldly spat out these 2 words to Fang Jinnian. Jing Nancheng, you? Cai Yunmeng wanted to say something, but was stopped by Fang Jinnian. 006, never touched you. Cai Yunmeng, Fang Jinnian and Jing Nancheng are all university alumni, but Jing Nancheng is from a different age than them and used to be in the same club, so they know each other well. Now Cai Yunmeng works in Jing Nancheng's company. Fang Jinnian doesn't want any unpleasantness to arise between her and Jing Nancheng because of his own affairs. Jing Nancheng has always been a high-ranking person and he is also the vice president of the company, so it is inevitable that he will take revenge on his personal enemies. Yunmeng, I'm leaving first and can't see you off. You should be careful when you go back to the company. Fang Jinnian gave her a reassuring smile and got into the car. She had just sat in and had not had time to fasten her seatbelt when the car rumbled and sped forward like a sword drawn from its sheath. Fang Jinnian was so frightened that her face turned pale, and her stomach felt churning. She tried hard to hold back the pain in her chest. Seeing Jing Nancheng driving recklessly, he opened his mouth to persuade him, Nancheng. Shut up, you have no right to call my name like that. Jing Nancheng interrupted her rudely, the disgust on his face was so obvious. Fang Jinnian's heart ached sharply, and her eyes suddenly turned red. She didn't know what she had done wrong to make him hate her so much. Not wanting to show her vulnerability in front of him, she turned her face away and tried to look out the window. However, the more she tried to hide her sadness, the more those bad emotions poured out. Maybe it was because of her pregnancy, but she became extra fragile and tears suddenly fell from the corners of her eyes. From the time she got married until today, she had not shed a single tear in such a long time. But at this moment, those tears of grievance were like pearls that had broken off the string and could not be stopped. She bit her lip and tried hard to control her breathing, but the sobs still came out.
Jing Nancheng heard something strange and glanced at her sideways. When his eyes touched the tears on her face, he was stunned. The steering wheel was turned suddenly, the brakes were stepped on, and the car stopped on the side of the road. Because of inertia and the high speed of the car, Fang Jinnian's whole body was thrown out. If she hadn't been tied up with a seat belt, she would have hit the windshield. Although I didn't get hit, the bones in my shoulder were almost broken by the seat belt. Almost instinctively, he placed his hands on his lower abdomen. Before she could come to her senses, her chin was pinched by a large cold hand with such force that it almost twisted her jaw off. She frowned in pain. "Why are you crying, Fang Jinnian? How dare you cry in front of me?" Jing Nancheng's cold voice sounded like it came from hell, and the ferocious expression on his face almost seemed to want to eat her. Fang Jinnian raised her eyes and met his eyes that were burning with intense anger. She didn't understand why he was so angry. "Nancheng, what happened to you? Fang Jinnian, you still dare to ask me what's wrong? Tell me, whose bastard is this?" Jing Nancheng pointed at her belly. His cold and hard face was stretched into a straight line. The hand that was pinching her chin unconsciously increased its strength. Fang Jinnian's face turned pale with pain. He shook his head, trying to break free from his hand. However, she couldn't break free and could only look at him innocently. "Nancheng, this child is yours." "Fang Jinnian!" Jing Nancheng shouted angrily, picked up the pregnancy certificate on the dashboard, and threw it hard in her face. "Fang Jinnian, I have never touched you, and you dare to say that this bastard is mine. Aren't you too shameless?" Jing Nancheng stared at her with a ferocious look on his face, as if he wanted to tear her to pieces alive. Fang Jinnian was stunned. She looked at the man in front of her in a daze, as if she was shocked by his words. 007, what a big green hat! The pregnancy slip had cut a small hole in the corner of her eye, with blood dripping down. She didn't feel the pain at all, and just looked at him in disbelief. "Jing Nancheng, you can look down on me and humiliate me at will, but I will not allow you to insult this child like this." "I insulted him. Har, Fang Jinnian, you cheated on me so much that I can't even kill him to get rid of my hatred." Before Jing Nancheng finished his words, there was a crisp sound and Fang Jinnian slapped him in the face. "Jing Nancheng, you bastard, how can you say such cruel words?" Fang Jinnian was shaking all over, and his palms were burning with pain. But what hurt more than her palm was her heart. She cherished him so much and loved him so carefully. Even if he didn't like her, it was too cruel to curse their child like this. This slap almost blew away Jing Nancheng's sanity. Because the force was so strong, his handsome cheek was clearly marked with red marks from 5 fingers. The corner of his mouth was also scratched by her nails, and blood was oozing out. Jing Nancheng gently pressed it with the tip of his tongue and tasted the salty taste. The temperature in his eyes dropped several degrees. At this moment, he was like a mad lion, full of danger and aggressiveness. Fang Jinnian was afraid of him being like this. "Fang Jinnian, you actually dare to hit me?" Jing Nancheng glared at her coldly, obviously not expecting that she would have such courage. Very angry. The next second, before Fang Jinnian could react, a cold big hand strangled her neck. The blue blood vessels between his fingers were stretched so tight that they seemed about to burst. Fang Jinnian's face also turned from pale to blue. "I'll ask you one last time, who does this bastard belong to?" Jing Nancheng's voice was sharper than ever because he was too angry. "No matter how many times you ask, this child is yours." Fang Jinnian endured the severe pain in his neck, looked at him, and answered firmly word by word. Like she's no longer afraid of him. "Okay, Fang Jinnian, you really won't cry until you see the coffin." Jing Nancheng let go of her neck and started the car again. Fang Jinnian leaned back in the car seat, and it took him a long time to catch his breath. His throat felt like it had been sored, and was burning with pain. She didn't know where Jing Nancheng was going, and she didn't intend to ask. She felt very uncomfortable at the moment, so she closed her eyes, leaned back in the seat, and fell asleep unknowingly. When she woke up, the car just drove into the Fang family's yard. She was stunned. What was she doing at Fang's house? "Get out of the car." Jing Nancheng didn't even look at her. He just grabbed the pregnancy certificate and got out first. The car door slammed shut. The Fang family's housekeeper had already come out to greet them, and Fang Jixin and Li Suling followed suit. "Nancheng, why did you come back at this time without informing me in advance?" I wanted to ask Aunt Chen to buy some more vegetables. Li Suling warmly entertained her son-in-law. No need. Jing Nancheng replied her with only 3 words coldly, and then looked at Fang Jinnian. I'll leave right after I finish this matter. Fang Jinnian and Li Suling looked at each other, not understanding what he meant. 008, spending their wedding night alone. Fang Jinnian, who got off the car last, walked over and called Mom and Dad softly. Jing Nancheng spoke again. He handed the pregnancy certificate in his hand to Fang Jinnian and his wife. Please take a look first. Fang Jinnian took the form, and Li Suling leaned over to take a look, and saw the word positive displayed in the result column at the bottom. Li Suling was delighted. Jinnian is pregnant. Fang Jinnian also looked at his daughter excitedly. Fang Jinnian nodded and was about to say something. Jing Nancheng interrupted them coldly. This is the result just taken from a hospital. You two have seen it clearly. It shows positive. Excuse me, from the time we got married until now, I have never touched your daughter. Where did this child come from? Fang Jinnian and Li Suling were startled. How can it be that after being married for so long, he has never touched their daughter? Where did this child come from? Nancheng, what do you mean? Fang Jinnian frowned. I think you should ask your daughter what this means. Jing Nancheng pointed at Fang Jinnian and said, gritting his teeth. Fang Jinnian looked at his daughter again. Jinnian, is what Nancheng said true? No. Fang Jinnian retorted subconsciously. Jing Nancheng, you clearly touched me on our wedding night. Wedding night? Jing Nancheng sneered. Fang Jinnian, you want to sleep with me? Are you crazy? If you want to find an excuse, please make up a convincing one. I didn't even attend the wedding. Do you think I will spend the bridal chamber with you? Jing Nancheng just found it ridiculous. Those 2 humiliating questions were more like 2 depth charges, almost blowing Fang Jinnian's soul into pieces. No, you lied. If it wasn't him that night, then who was it? God, she didn't dare to imagine. Do I need to tell you who I was with that night? Jing Nancheng approached her, his eyes full of sarcasm and mockery. Fang Jinnian shook her head desperately. She didn't want to listen and refused to believe it. When Fang Jinnian heard this, he roughly understood what had happened. He walked up to his daughter with a cold face. Jinnian, tell me, what happened? Is this child from Nancheng? Dad, Fang Jinnian was extremely confused. Faced with his father's questioning, he had no idea how to answer. Fang Jinnian, Jing Nancheng, have always been bold and responsible for what I do. You'd better not pin this unfounded bastard on me. I won't acknowledge it. Jing Nancheng emphasized. Fang Jinnian's face darkened even more, and his voice became colder. Whose child is this? I don't know. Fang Jinnian took a lot of effort to find her voice. She looked at Jing Nancheng, as if trying to find the answer from his face. However, the look of disgust on his face clearly showed that he was not lying to her. That night, that man was really not him. Jinnian, you. Father Fang pointed at her and covered his heart with his other hand. Suddenly, he was so angry that he couldn't speak. Dad. Fang Jinnian was worried that his father was having a heart attack, so he hurried over to help him. He had been to their hospital once because of his brother's matter, and the doctor said that he could not be exposed to any stimulation anymore. Can 009 put it on the shelf? Her fingers had just touched her father's arm when a slap landed on her face without warning. Fang Jinnian was stunned for a moment, and half of her cheek swelled up instantly. This slap was much heavier than the one she had given Jing Nancheng. Mom. She looked at her mother in shock. Don't call me Mom. I'm not as shameless as you are. I don't want to be a daughter who ruins the family reputation. Li Suling came over and pointed at her belly. Tell me the truth, which wild man is this child from? Fang Jinnian couldn't believe what he heard. Mom, everyone can disbelieve me, but don't you know what kind of person I am? I have never done anything to let down the Fang family or Jing Nancheng. You still dare to be stubborn. Li Suling was furious. She raised her hand and slapped him again. This slap stunned Jing Nancheng, who was standing by. It was 2 consecutive slaps, both with great force. Fang Jinnian was beaten back a few steps. The delicate corner of her mouth was suddenly broken, blood dripped down. It was like a big gash in her heart. She didn't wipe it off, but raised her face stubbornly. refusing to let the bitter tears fall. Even if you beat me to death here today, I still say the same thing. I haven't done anything to let anyone down, no. You simply won't repent. Li Suling was so angry that her face turned blue. She raised her hand and really wanted to beat her to death here. Fang Jinnian closed his eyes resignedly and prepared himself to be beaten by her. But the imagined dull pain has not subsided for a long time. When she opened her eyes, she saw Fan Ronghao's tall body protecting her. He held his mother's hand and said, "Mom, that's enough. If you continue beating me, my sister won't be able to bear it. What's more, she is pregnant now. Get out of my way. She did such a shameful thing and you still dare to protect her. I'm going to teach her a lesson today." Li Suling tried to pull her son away. Jing Nancheng, who had been standing silently by the side, finally couldn't bear it anymore and shouted, "Enough!" They were just two cold words, yet they carried a great deterrent force. Li Suling paused and looked at him in surprise. Also looking over there was Fang Ronghao's angry gaze. He let go of his mother's hand, took a step forward, and before anyone could react, he suddenly punched Jing Nancheng in the face. Jing Nancheng couldn't avoid it and took it head on. The blow was not gentle and blood immediately oozed out from the tip of his nose. Li Suling, who was standing by, was shocked by the scene. "Jing Nancheng, you actually have the nerve to come to our Fang family to demand an explanation. You bully my sister like this, I'll beat you to death today." Fang Ronghao had long wanted to settle the score with him at the wedding, but today, he even dared to say that he had ignored Jinnian after being married for so long. The new and old grudges combined made Fang Ronghao gather all his strength. He grabbed Jing Nancheng's collar and threw a hook punch at him without any hesitation. However, this time, it did not land on Jing Nancheng's face. Jing Nancheng was not a pushover. He reacted, grabbed his fist with one hand, and punched back with the other hand. In terms of means and strength, Fang Ronghao was no match for Jing Nancheng. After this punch, Fang Ronghao's tall body staggered. 010 became a vegetable. Before he could recover from the shock, Jing Nancheng mercilessly punched him again. Two heavy punches hit Fang Ronghao, causing his eyes to go dark. His hands loosened and he took several steps back, with blood gushing out of his teeth in an instant. Li Suling screamed in fright and quickly ran over to support her son. Looking at the wounds on his face, tears of heartache suddenly flowed out. "Son, are you okay? Housekeeper, call the doctor quickly. Fang Ronghao is not a pushover. He can endure this little injury." He spat out a mouthful of blood, wiped away his mother's hand, and rushed over to fight with Jing Nancheng. This time, Fang Jinnian stopped him and said, "Brother, stop hitting me. If you continue, someone will die." "Sister." Fang Ronghao looked at her with pity, and she just shook her head desperately. One is her husband and the other is her brother. Both are people she loves. She would not feel good if either of them was hurt. Jing Nancheng looked at the deep affection between the brother and sister and felt it was both ironic and irritating. He sneered, pointed at Fang Ronghao's nose and said, "Fang Ronghao, you are the one who has no right to say anything bad about me. If it weren't for you, how could Fang Jinnian marry me at such a clear price? Look at yourself, a hopeless Liu Edu. Don't think I don't know what you think of Fang Jinnian. Seeing how you protect her, maybe the bastard in her belly is yours." At the end, Jing Nancheng almost shouted these words out of his throat. The humiliation was like a sharp sword, every word piercing her heart, as if it was going to pierce Fang Jinnian's entire heart. "Jing Nancheng, are you still a human being?" Fang Jinnian rushed over and was so angry that he wanted to slap him. However, as soon as she raised her hand, he grabbed it. He stared at her coldly. "Fang Jinnian, don't be a whore and still want to be a saint." He bit every word so hard, as if he wanted to bite off her bones and blood. Fang Jinnian looked at him and felt as if thousands of daggers were stabbing his chest, causing him excruciating pain. The more she loved this man, the more her heart ached at this moment. She didn't know how he could say such cruel words. "Jing Nancheng, you beast, I'm going to fight you today." Fang Ronghao broke away from his mother and saw cement bricks placed next to the flower bed that was being repaired not far away. He rushed over, picked up a piece, held it up, and rushed towards Jing Nancheng, wanting to fight him to the death. "Power, no, you can't do that." Li Suling screamed in fear. Fang Jinnian looked at his brother who was running towards him and wanted to push Jing Nancheng away,
but his feet felt like they were filled with lead and he couldn't even move.
Jing Nancheng even forgot to dodge for a moment. Suddenly, a muffled groan was heard, and blood spurted out everywhere.
Fang Jinnian fell between Fang Ronghao and Jing Nancheng.
Dad.
Husband. The doctor came out of the operating room. Fang Jinnian was the first to run over. Doctor, how is my dad? The operation was successful. Chairman Fang is no longer in danger of death. However, because of the serious injury to his head, he may. What could he do?
Li Suling asked as Fang Ronghao helped her walk up.
The doctor took off his mask and said with a heavy face, he may not wake up again. This is what is medically known as a vegetative state.
No, I don't believe it.
Li Suling couldn't bear the blow and fainted in her son's arms.
Mom.
Fang Jinnian's head buzzed, and he fell to the ground. No, it's impossible.
Then, tears flowed down. Jing Nancheng was standing not far away. When he heard the news, he froze in place. 011, it's not his.
Fang Jinnian was pushed into the ward. The elders of the Jing family came after hearing the news. Li Suling was still unconscious and Fang Ronghao was nowhere to be found. Only Fang Jinnian and Jing Nancheng were in the ward. Jing Guopeng and his wife expressed their concern, and Jing Qianqian also came with them. As soon as she came in, she hugged her brother's arm, looking so intimate, like a child who has not grown up yet. In fact, she is only 1 year younger than Fang Jinnian.
Jinnian, I heard Nancheng say on the phone that you are pregnant.
Is this true? Jing Guopeng asked with concern, with a gleam of expectation in his eyes. Fang Jinnian nodded woodenly. This is great, a happy event.
Jing Guopeng couldn't suppress his excitement and laughed.
Suddenly remembering that this was in Fang Jinnian's ward, he realized that he had lost his composure and quickly suppressed the joy in his heart. Compared to his joy, his wife Song Chusu seemed very calm, with no expression on her face. Jing Nancheng stood there, pursing his lips tightly, wanting to say something, but before he could open his mouth, Jing Qianqian beside him took the lead in speaking. Fang Jinnian, my brother has never returned home in the past 3 months since we got married. You kid. Jing Qianqian didn't say the rest of the words, but the meaning was already very clear. Jing Guopeng glared at his little daughter and said, shut up and stop talking nonsense. Jing Qianqian pursed her lips in grievance, I am not talking nonsense. My brother hasn't even stepped into their house in the past few months. Is it possible that Fang Jinnian can get pregnant by herself? Jing Guopeng was so angry that he glared at her and was about to teach her a lesson. She quickly hid behind her brother. Song Chusu, who was standing by, felt that what her daughter said made sense, and looked at Fang Jinnian with an unfriendly look. Fang Jinnian, this child. It's not his. Fang Jinnian said calmly. Jing Nancheng was stunned and looked at her in surprise. She sat there quietly, without a sound, and her whole body seemed to have a hollow soul. She was completely different from the woman who had argued with him before. Jing Guopeng and Song Shuqiu were both shocked. Only Jing Qianqian looked gloating, I told you this woman is unclean. Jing Nancheng glared at her and signaled her to shut up. Jing Qianqian was afraid of her brother, so she stuck out her tongue and tactfully did not add fuel to the fire. Fang Jinnian, what you said is true. Song Shuqiu didn't like her in the first place, and when she heard such words, she suddenly became angry. Really? Fang Jinnian nodded mechanically, neither arguing nor resisting. That look caught Jing Nancheng's eyes, making him angry for no reason. The first time I saw you, I knew that you were no ordinary woman. I didn't expect you to be so shameless. In Song Shuqiu's eyes, Fang Jinnian was not worthy of her son. If it weren't for her husband repaying his comrade in arms for saving his life, she would never have agreed to this marriage. Now, she finally had a legitimate reason to kick her out of the house. Pack your things and get out of the Jing family tomorrow, and divorce our Nancheng. Song Shuqiu said angrily. Okay. Fang Jinnian opened his lips and said only one word. Song Shuqiu was stunned, as if she had not expected her to be so obedient. You shut up too. Marriage is not a joke. You can get married at will and get divorced at will. Jing Guopeng yelled at his wife. Then he looked at his daughter-in-law and said, Jinnian, do you have any unspeakable secrets about this matter? Don't be afraid, just speak up. Dad will take care of it for you. No. Fang Jinnian shook his head, still like a puppet. Jing Guopeng wanted to ask something else,
but seeing her attitude, he couldn't ask anymore. Dad, she admitted it herself, what else is there to hide? Jing Nancheng interrupted, brother, divorce this woman immediately. Jing Nancheng just looked at Fang Jinnian silently without saying anything. 012, get out of the Fang family. Fang Jinnian couldn't remember when the Jing family left. There were only her and Fang Jixin in the entire ward. She sat beside the bed, looking at her father who was breathing weakly, tears rolling down her face uncontrollably. Dad, I'm sorry. If she hadn't been pregnant, Jing Nancheng wouldn't have gone to the Fang family, and her brother wouldn't have lost his mind to protect her. All these tragedies wouldn't have happened. It was all her fault. All the fault was hers. After receiving the news, Cai Yunmeng hurried to the hospital. Seeing Fang Jixin lying on the hospital bed, she felt very sad. Jinnian, what happened? How could my uncle become like this? Cai Yunmeng was puzzled. Fang Jinnian hugged her, choking with sobs and unable to speak. Just at this moment, Li Suling came in. Seeing her husband like this, she couldn't help but burst into tears. Mom, don't be like this. Fang Jinnian walked over, hugged her and comforted her. But he didn't expect that Li Suling would slap him directly in the face. Fang Jinnian, get out of here. I don't have a daughter like you. It's all because of you, this jinx. Your father has become like this. You are the scourge of our Fang family. Li Suling pointed at Fang Jinnian and cursed. Still as if he was not satisfied, he raised his hand and pretended to slap again. Fortunately, Cai Yunmeng on the side reacted quickly and quickly pulled Jinnian away from where he was standing, and protected him tightly behind him. Aunt, Jinnian doesn't want this to happen. Cai Yunmeng defended Fang Jinnian. Who are you? What qualifications do you have to speak for her? Do you know how much she has done to bring disgrace to our family? She just married into the Jing family, and she brought back a bastard for no apparent reason. Our Fang family has become what it is today, all because of this evil woman like her. Get out, take this bastard with you, get out now, and never set foot in the Fang family again. Li Suling pointed at the door of the ward and shouted angrily. Almost every word came out from between his teeth. Their hatred on her face was so deep, and the look in her eyes was as cruel as an ice knife, as if the girl in front of her was not her daughter at all. That cold expression made Fang Jinnian feel cold inside. Aunt. Cai Yunmeng wanted to say something, but Fang Jinnian fell to his knees with a thud. What happened to Dad is all my fault. I am willing to be punished, but I have never let the Jing family down, nor have I done anything to tarnish the reputation of the Fang family. I will definitely prove my innocence. You told me to get out of the Fang family. Fine, I'll listen to you. Thank you for raising me for so many years. I will repay you one day. Take care of yourself and Dad. After saying that, she stood up from the ground and ran out the door. Jinnian. Cai Yunmeng was afraid that something might happen to her, so she quickly chased after her. Before leaving, she just looked at Li Suling seriously. The Fang family can't go back, and the Jing family is even less likely to go back. Fang Jinnian had nowhere to go, so Cai Yunmeng took him back to her rented house. Cai Yunmeng moved out of home after graduating from university and rented a small apartment in the city center, which was just right for her to live alone. Jinnian, eat something. You haven't had a sip of water since you came back. You can bear it, but the baby in your belly certainly can't. Cai Yunmeng brought over the freshly heated meal. Fang Jinnian sat on the windowsill of the room, looking out the window silently. 013, remember that night? From sunset to dusk, and then to now it was dark, she didn't say a word. Cai Yunmeng was extremely panicked when she saw her like this. She would rather she had a good cry than to suppress all her emotions in her heart like now. Jinnian, if you have anything on your mind, please tell me. Don't keep it in your heart. Pregnant women's emotions fluctuate greatly. If this continues, it will not only easily cause depression, but also affect the development of the baby in the belly. Yunmeng, Jing Nancheng said that the child is not his. After a long time, Fang Jinnian said this softly. What? Cai Yunmeng was stunned at first, but soon, a raging anger rose in his heart. This damn Jing Nancheng is a coward who dares to do things but not to take responsibility. I used to think of him as a man, but I am so fucking blind. I'm going to cut off his penis so that he can never get it hard again. I don't think he will be able to pass on his family line in the future.
Kai Yunmeng was so angry that she stood up from the ground, turned around, and prepared to go out to settle the score with Jing Nancheng. Fang Jinnian grabbed her and said, "Yunmeng, don't be impulsive.
Jinnian, he has treated you like this, why are you still worried about him?"
Kai Yunmeng felt a little disappointed.
"No, I just feel like something is wrong."
Hearing her say this, Kai Yunmeng quickly put down her raised foot and sat down next to her again.
"What's wrong?"
Fang Jinnian bit her lip. Even in front of her best friend, she still found those words difficult to say. Mustering a lot of courage, she said, "Jing Nancheng said that he never touched me."
His talking nonsense.
"I went to deliver your bag that day, and I clearly heard you guys outside the door." Having said this, Kai Yunmeng paused and didn't say anything else. Her face couldn't help but turn red. Forgive her, she is still a very pure girl. The sounds she heard were not suitable for children and were too ambiguous. She couldn't describe them. Hearing her words, Fang Jinnian's face suddenly turned red with embarrassment. Yunmeng was just standing at the door when she heard all those voices. How crazy were they? If there were other guests or waiters passing by in the corridor at that time. God, Fang Jinnian didn't even dare to imagine it. But the scattered fragments of that night could not help but come to my mind again. The man's solid chest, tall and majestic body, and eyes as deep as ink, just one glance, as if he could see into a person's heart. Fang Jinnian patted his burning cheeks, trying not to recall the details of that night.
"Anyway, don't listen to that bastard's nonsense.
He just doesn't want to admit it," Kai Yunmeng said angrily. "But, based on my understanding of him, he is not the kind of person who would lie. To be precise, Jing Nancheng simply did not bother to tell such a lie."
"Jinnian, you are too naive and too gullible.
He didn't even attend the wedding.
Now that you are pregnant, he doesn't want to take responsibility.
Of course he will make an excuse and say that the child is not his. He hasn't been home in these 3 months, and he said that on the night of our wedding, he and..." At this point, Fang Jinnian suddenly remembered something. "Yunmeng, do you remember which room I live in? Remember, 8818, you know how much effort I put into finding you." Thinking of what happened that night, Kai Yunmeng couldn't help but think of that man again. She swore that she would never set foot in a bar again in her life. 014, the father of the child. She was thinking about her own things, but Fang Jinnian, listening to the number she said, felt like he was struck by lightning and his face suddenly turned pale. She hurriedly grabbed Kai Yunmeng's hand. "Yunmeng, what room did you just say?" 8818, what's wrong?" Kai Yunmeng repeated, looking at her with some confusion. Fang Jinnian's head buzzed, as if he had been hit hard with a stick, and his whole body went limp.
"Jinnian, what happened to you?"
Fang Jinnian froze there, his whole body trembling, his eyes full of disbelief. Oh my god, that night, she actually walked into the wrong room and had a one-night stand with another man. What's worse is that at this moment, she is pregnant with his child. This is ridiculous. No, it can't be true.
"Jinnian, don't scare me, what's wrong with you?"
Kai Yunmeng was frightened by her.
"Yunmeng,
Fang Jinnian couldn't say it. If Jing Nancheng knew that she was really with another man. No, she herself couldn't accept it. Even she herself despised herself for being like this.
"Yunmeng, I went into the wrong room."
She paused twice before she finished the sentence. What? Kai Yunmeng was shocked. How is this possible? This is something that only happens in novels. It's too unbelievable. Jinnian, could it be that you remembered it wrongly? Fang Jinnian also hoped that he had remembered it wrongly, but now that they have a child, everything has become a fact. She shook her head desperately. I was drunk that night and came out of the bar. I didn't remember the room number. I wanted to call to ask, but I couldn't find my phone. As a result, I walked out of room 8828 the next morning. Oh my god. Kai Yunmeng was so shocked that she couldn't speak. After a long while, he slowly sorted out his thoughts. You said you came out of room 8828, and you clearly booked room 8818, so, who was in room 8818 that night? She hadn't drunk any alcohol, so there was no way she could have misheard those voices. Fang Jinnian closed her eyes in pain. She felt as if a knife was stabbed into her chest. Jing Nancheng had not lied to her. That night, he was really with Shi Qin, and they were in their wedding room. She took a deep breath and said slowly, "It's Jing Nancheng and Shi Qin." "What? Oh my god, this couple is too arrogant and bullying." Kai Yunmeng felt that his internal organs were about to be ignited by anger. Jing Nancheng is too much, he is simply not a human being. It was not enough that Jing Yan was embarrassed at the wedding, but he even brought Shi Qin there. If Jing Yan went in that night, he would be humiliated by him again. "Jing Yan, you were right to go into the wrong room." "Yunmeng." Fang Jinnian looked at his friend in disbelief. Kai Yunmeng held her hand and comforted her, "Don't be afraid, I will accompany you to the hotel again tomorrow. As long as we find out who was in room 8828 that night, we will know who the father of this child is." Fang Jinnian heard this, but subconsciously rejected the proposal. "No, Yunmeng, I'm already married to Nancheng." 015, child, you can't stay. Even if the biological father of the child is found, it is just a one-night stand. He will not be responsible at all. After all, she walked into the wrong room. If the other party also has a family and children, not to mention that he will not let the child be born, then it is not just her who will be ruined, but two families. No, she couldn't do that. This child was always an accident, and no matter who he was unwelcome. "Jing Yan, why are you so confused? It's already this time, and you still care about Jing Nancheng. You treat him as your husband, but he has never treated you as his wife. From the day he agreed to marry you, he has never stopped humiliating you. He has done such a thing with Shi Qin. What are you still clinging to with such a man and such a marriage?" Kai Yunmeng looked at her, feeling a little annoyed, thinking that she was reluctant to leave Jingnan City. Fang Jinnian shook her head and said, "I'm planning to divorce him." Even if Yunmeng didn't remind her that such a marriage was no longer desirable, she would not insist on it. With Jing Nancheng's arrogant and conceited personality, how could he tolerate such betrayal? Even if he could tolerate it, he would not have the face to face the elders of the Jing family, especially his father-in-law. Fang Jinnian knew that Jing Guopeng took good care of her. In the Jing family, the only one who treated her sincerely was her father-in-law. She recalled that in the ward today, her father-in-law had defended her. He trusted him so much, but she. If he knew the truth, how devastated he would be. Fang Jinnian didn't dare to imagine what the scene would be like, and what about her mother-in-law? If she knew, she would want to tear her to pieces. Including Jing Qianqian and Jing Nancheng, when she thought of their hateful eyes, which were like sharp blades, as if they wanted to cut her into pieces, her heart began to tremble violently. "What are you going to do with this child?" Kai Yunmeng asked her. "I don't plan to stay." Fang Jinnian said truthfully. "Jing Yan, this is your first child, you should think it through carefully. Besides, do you know how dangerous abortion is? How many women cannot have children in the future because they don't take abortion seriously?" Kai Yunmeng was not trying to scare him, every word she said was the truth. Fang Jinnian's eyes trembled violently. In fact, she was reluctant to abort the child. However, if this child is born, he will be an illegitimate child with an unknown father. When he grows up, he will most likely have to endure being talked about and criticized by others. Not to mention how much damage it would cause to his body and mind, it would also be unfair to him. If that was the case, she would rather he had never come into this world. Kai Yunmeng saw her concerns and said, "Jing Yan, don't be so pessimistic. You always think the outcome is so bad. If we go to find that man tomorrow, what if he agrees to give birth to the child? Think about it, someone who can afford to live in such a luxurious room must be rich or noble. Even if he doesn't want to have the child, at least he is the father of the child, and he has the right to know whether this is right or not." But 016, terrible nightmare. There are not so many buts. It's settled. I will take you to the hotel to find someone tomorrow. Now, just eat your meal well and have a good sleep. We'll think about anything tomorrow. Don't forget that you are a pregnant woman now. Old people say that the first 3 months are the most dangerous time for a pregnant woman. No matter whether you want him in the end or not, he is still in your belly now, so you have to take good care of him. Don't worry, even if the sky falls tomorrow, I will hold it up for you. Kai Yunmeng said as she handed the food to her. "Yunmeng, thank you." Fang Jinnian looked at her with tears in her eyes. She should be thankful that she met such a good friend. "Stop crying, please. I hate sentimentality the most. It's so corny. Besides, old people say that if you cry when you are pregnant, your child will be naughty. You will suffer for it then.
Kai Yun-meng deliberately scared her.
Fang Jinnian couldn't help but laugh at the serious expression on her face. Yes, as long as the baby is in her belly, she has the responsibility to take good care of her. Fang Jinnian hardly slept the whole night. When it was almost dawn, she dozed off for a while, but had a nightmare that woke her up in fright. She was so shocked that she sat up from the bed, with a layer of cold sweat on her forehead, and even Kai Yunmeng's silk nightgown on her body was soaked with sweat. She sat there for a long time before she came to her senses from the dream and took a breath. She dreamed that Jing Nancheng dragged her to the hospital, and he forced her onto the operating table. The doctor held a cold instrument and wanted to remove the baby from her belly. She cried and begged Jing Nancheng not to do it, but his wild and ferocious expression seemed to come from hell. He didn't listen to her at all and just glared at her viciously. Suddenly, she felt a sharp pain in her lower body. She felt something piercing her skin, and then hot blood gushed out of her body. Just when she thought she was about to die, the door of the operating room was pushed open from the outside with a bang. Soon after, a group of people in black suits filed in. The man walking in front had a tall stature and exuded a strong magnetic field that made people afraid to approach him easily. Because he was coming against the light, Fang Jinnian couldn't see his outline clearly, but only vaguely felt that his upright and strong facial features were very charming. There is something vaguely familiar about it. Before she could react, he punched Jing Nancheng, and Jing Nancheng fell to the side. Then he picked her up from the operating table. His broad and strong chest inexplicably made her feel at peace. She carried him out, and just as she was about to step out of the door, she saw Jing Nancheng rushing over with a scalpel, which was still stained with her blood. She screamed in fear, and woke up with a start. Although it was just a dream, it was so real that she was still frightened. In the dream, she tried hard to see the face of the man who came to save her, but no matter how hard she tried, she just couldn't see him clearly. Fang Jinnian rubbed his aching temples and didn't want to think about that dream anymore. He raised his hand, took the phone from the bedside table, and prepared to check the time.
017, it concerns a life.
The cell phone was not turned off all night, but it also did not ring. She couldn't help but chuckle at herself. Fang Jinnian, what are you expecting?
Are you expecting Jing Nancheng to call you?
Don't have such unrealistic fantasies. This man doesn't care about your life or death at all. Fang Jinnian suppressed the bitterness in his heart, not wanting to feel too much self-pity. I looked at the time and it was already 8 o'clock. She quickly threw back the quilt, got out of bed, tied her hair neatly, and walked into the bathroom.
Yun-meng had no idea when she woke up. When she finished washing up, Kai Yun-meng had already prepared breakfast.
After breakfast, the two of them went to the Yatai Hotel. Kai Yun-meng parked the car in the parking lot in front of the hotel and unbuckled his seatbelt. Jinnian, we're here. Returning to this place again, looking at the familiar buildings, Fang Jinnian couldn't help but think of the prospect of that day again. She felt unsure and didn't know whether she should come. She wanted to back off, but Kai Yun-meng saw the emotion in her eyes, held her hand, and comforted her. Jinnian, don't be afraid, I'm here. Fang Jinnian was half pulled and half pushed in by Kai Yun-meng. As soon as she walked to the front desk, the receptionist on duty recognized them. After all, it was hard not to remember the grand and topical wedding that day. And the embarrassing incident of Kai Yun-meng in the bar had already spread in the hotel. When she saw them, the receptionist's face changed slightly, but she still had a formal smile on her face.
Mrs. Jing, how can I help you? The receptionist asked politely. Let's find someone.
Kai Yun-meng said directly.
Looking for someone.
The receptionist was a little confused, but soon realized, oh, you are here to look for Mr. Jing, right?
Jingnan City. No.
Kai Yun-meng refused subconsciously. We want to find out who lived in room 8828 3 months ago, on the day of Mrs. Jing's wedding. 8828. The receptionist was surprised when she heard the number, and her eyes looked back and forth between Fang Jinnian and Kai Yun-meng several times. Yes, 8828, can you help me check who checked in that day? Kai Yun-meng didn't notice the change in her expression and asked anxiously. Fang Jinnian stood there silently the whole time. In fact, she knew that coming here to look for someone was like looking for a needle in a haystack. It didn't matter because she would never find him.
Well. I'm sorry, Mrs. Jing. Our hotel has regulations that prohibit us from disclosing guests' privacy. The receptionist said apologetically. We have something very important to ask him. It concerns a life. When the receptionist heard the word human life, she was shocked and her face changed. It didn't look like they were joking, but the guests of room 8828 were someone she couldn't afford to offend. What's more, the hotel had rules. Mrs. Jing, I'm really sorry. If you really feel sorry, just tell us the identity of that person. This is a life. If anything goes wrong, can you bear the responsibility? This. The receptionist was a little panicked by Cai Yunmeng's threat. Yunmeng, forget it, don't make things difficult for her. Fang Jinnian felt a little bit sorry for the receptionist when he saw her. 018, are you here to see me? Cai Yunmeng pulled her hand, signaling her not to be soft-hearted. Cai Yunmeng's voice was not low. At this time, the lobby manager had already walked over. When he saw them, he greeted them politely. Mrs. Jing, what can I do for you? Manager, they said they are looking for the guest in room 8828. The receptionist took the initiative to say. The manager was startled when he heard this, but he quickly came to his senses and asked with a smile, I wonder what Mrs. Jing wants to talk to that guest about. This is a matter involving human life, manager. If you don't want to take any responsibility, have your employees find the person and tell us as soon as possible. You know, if anything happens to Mrs. Jing, the Jing family will definitely not let anyone in your hotel go. Cai Yunmeng brought up the Jing family. In Jincheng, everyone knew the Jing family's background and power, and they were not easy to offend. The manager looked embarrassed. Just at this moment, a cold voice came from far away, Fang Jinnian, what are you doing here? Fang Jinnian turned around and saw Jing Nancheng walking towards the elevator with a woman. They stopped 3 or 4 meters away from her. The disgust between Jing Nancheng's brows was still so deep, and the woman next to him was none other than the well-known new star in the film and television industry, Shi Xiqin. In recent years, Shi Xiqin has been very popular, and Jing's has also invested in many films, TV series and advertisements. Undoubtedly, she is the heroine. A few days ago, she just received a Newcomer Popularity Award. Of course, this award was also sponsored by Jing's. In any case, this woman is now somewhat famous in the entertainment industry. Fang Jinnian didn't expect to meet them here at this moment. It seemed that Jing Nancheng had not returned home for some time and had been living here with this woman. No wonder the receptionist thought they were here to see him. However, what surprised her even more was that Shi Xiqin was so open about appearing in public with Jing Nancheng. Does she really not care about public criticism at all? That's right, with Jing Nancheng protecting her, who in Jincheng would dare to offend her and make enemies with the Jing family at the risk of his life? What's more, she is basically a useless wife. Isn't the embarrassment that Jing Nancheng gave her on the wedding day the best proof of that? Everyone knows who he loves in his heart. Fang Jinnian clenched her fingers and withdrew her gaze indifferently, pretending not to hear Jing Nancheng's words. She had been humiliated in public once, and she would not be stupid enough to be humiliated by him a second time without knowing her own limitations. Yesterday's Jing Nancheng made her see clearly what kind of person this man was. No matter how much she compromised, he would not even look at her. Since she had already decided to divorce him, none of this mattered. What are you doing here? What does it have to do with you, young Master Jing? Do I need to report to you? Cai Yunmeng turned around when he heard the voice. When his eyes met the couple, his eyes suddenly became sharp and his words were full of gunpowder. Upon hearing this, Jing Nancheng's expression became even more aggressive. He ignored Cai Yunmeng and fixed his sharp eyes on Fang Jinnian. You're here to see me. It was not a question but a gritted teeth affirmation, as if his privacy had been greatly intruded upon. 019, a naughty fox. You're here to see me. It was not a question but a gritted teeth affirmation, as if his privacy had been greatly intruded upon. After hearing what he said, the anger in Cai Yunmeng's heart completely exploded. She sneered and raised her foot to walk over. Fang Jinnian was afraid that she would suffer a loss, and she didn't want her to have a bad relationship with Jing Nancheng because of him. She had finally made it in Jing's company, and if she lost her job, it would be too worth it. He quickly pulled her back and said, Yunmeng, forget it. Cai Yunmeng patted her hands and said, Jinnian, stand here and watch. Don't come over. After saying that, she broke away from Fang Jinnian's hand and walked towards Jingnan City. Jing Nancheng, you are so shameless. So what if this hotel is owned by your family? Or does it look like you've booked a room here with your shameless mistress? Cai Yunming's words were full of sarcasm and she was not polite at all. Shi Xiqin's face turned pale with embarrassment. She was wearing sunglasses, but Cai Yunming could still feel the sharpness in her foxy eyes. Nancheng. She called Jing Nancheng's name in a pretentiously delicate voice. To be honest, the sound is so loud that it can almost squeeze water out of it. Not only men can't stand it, but even women's bones will go numb when they hear it. What a slutty fox. Cai Yunming sneered. Cai Yunming, please be polite when you speak. Jing Nancheng warned her with danger in his eyes. Cai Yunming was not afraid of him, and strode up to them. Oh, you're protecting your mistress. I've seen shameless people, but I've never seen someone so shameless. What the hell is Shi Xiqin? In college, she was talked about all over in the girls' dormitory. What's the matter? Didn't you sell your body enough in college? Now, you're just a shameless mistress. You still have the nerve to do that. The wife you married is standing here, and you're hugging someone else's husband in public. Do you have any shame? Cai Yunming did not lower her voice at all, and her voice echoed throughout the hall. Many passers-by stopped to look over, and many of them recognized Shi Xiqin. Shi Xiqin's face turned pale and blue after hearing these words. He felt extremely humiliated. He didn't even dare to raise his head and pulled his hand out of Jing Nancheng's arm. Nancheng, I'd better leave first. After saying that, Shi Xiqin wanted to turn around and leave, but the next second, when she pulled her hand back, it was firmly held by Jing Nancheng. She raised her misty eyes and looked at him. Her aggrieved expression made me feel pity for her. Jing Nancheng gave her a soothing look. You are not the one who should leave, just stay by my side. That gentle tone floated into Fang Jinnian's ears, making her breathing tense and her heart filled with sadness. It is undeniable that she was jealous of Shi Xiqin. After Jing Nancheng finished speaking, he turned his head and met Cai Yunming's eyes. He stared at her with a cold expression, as if he wanted to skin her alive. Fang Jinnian was frightened by Cai Yunming's words. She came to her senses and hurried over to block her and wanted to pull her away. However, as soon as she ran up, Jing Nancheng grabbed her wrist. 020, kneel down and apologize. She looked up at him in astonishment. Her eyes met his violent expression. Her heart trembled violently for a moment. Her wrist felt a sharp pain, as if even the bones were crushed. Fang Jinnian endured the severe pain without making a sound. She only frowned and emphasized, "Let me go." Fang Jinnian, you shamelessly climbed into another man's bed, and now you're pregnant with a bastard. What qualifications do you have to yell in front of me? When it comes to shamelessness, who can surpass you? Jing Nancheng became furious when he thought of the child in her belly. She is really capable. After only 3 months of marriage, she has already cheated on him. Is it revenge? If so, Fang Jinnian is really fucking capable. Because of anger, Jing Nancheng spoke every word with great emphasis, as if countless rocks were pressing down on him, making it hard to breathe. Those ruthless and cold words immediately caused an uproar among the crowd. The crowd of onlookers grew larger and larger, and the sounds of gossip and ridicule lingered in Fang Jinnian's ears, making him look like a clown who had been stripped naked and paraded through the streets. She looked at Jing Nancheng in disbelief. She knew that he hated her, but she really didn't expect him to be so heartless. Her heart felt like it was cut into pieces by a sharp blade. The bloody pain made a thin layer of mist float in her eyes. But she refused to show her vulnerability in front of him again. She gritted her teeth, tried to suppress the bitterness in her chest, took a deep breath, and then met Jing Nancheng's eyes. Are you done? If you're done, let me go. You may want to make a fool of yourself in front of others, but I don't. Fang Jinnian's eyes remained calm and peaceful, as if he was not hurt at all by what he had just said. It was her fault what happened to the child and she had no reason to defend herself. Seeing her like this, Jing Nancheng's pupils shrank drastically, and his eyes glowed even colder. Instead of letting go, he held on even tighter. Fang Jinnian's face turned pale from the pain. Cai Yunming, who was standing by, saw this and felt distressed and angry. Jing Nancheng, let go. Can't you see that Jinnian is in pain? Pain? Har. Jing Nancheng sneered, will she feel pain? A woman like her deserves to be cut into pieces 1,000 times, but that wouldn't be enough to satisfy his hatred. Jing Nancheng was really annoyed by the calmness on her face, and he really wanted to reach out and tear it into pieces. Apologize. Jing Nancheng spat out these two words coldly. Fang Jinnian and Cai Yunmeng were both stunned and looked at him in disbelief. Apologize to Si Qin and kneel down. Jing Nancheng said every word without any room for negotiation. Jing Nancheng, don't go too far. Fang Jinnian looked at him with red eyes. If you don't apologize, I will immediately have her parents kicked out of school. He glanced at Cai Yunmeng coldly, and the warning in his eyes was so severe. Cai Yunmeng's parents are both working class and teach at a key middle school in the city. It is easy for Jing Nancheng to make them lose their jobs. Jing Nancheng, don't go too far. You'll have 3 seconds. 3. You. Fang Jinnian hadn't finished her words when she felt something flash past her eyes. Before she could see clearly what was flying past her, she heard Si Qin's low cry of pain from the other side. 021, teach the mistress and the scumbag a lesson. Fang Jinnian hadn't finished her words when she felt something flash past her eyes. Before she could see clearly what was flying past her, she heard Si Qin's low cry of pain from the other side. R. Then, they saw Cai Yunmeng rushing towards them. Fang Jinnian wanted to hold her back, but failed. She ran to Jing Nancheng and Si Qin like a gust of wind. Holding their high-heeled shoes in her hand, she hit Jing Nancheng on the head without saying a word. Cai Yunmeng's attack was not gentle, and a big hole was smashed on Jing Nancheng's forehead, and blood gushed out. Jing Nancheng, today I will beat you adulterous couple to death and enforce justice on the side of heaven. Cai Yunmeng gritted her teeth and said angrily. With a wave of his hand, another shoe came down. Both attacks were full of strength. Jing Nancheng was caught off guard and took the blow headlong. He only let out a muffled groan, and his tall body trembled, and he took several steps back. Fortunately, he had enough concentration and did not fall. But his face had changed drastically, and his head was dizzy. It all happened so fast that no one could react. All I heard was a cry of surprise from the hall. Si Qin, who was standing next to Jing Nancheng and was also injured, was the first to come to his senses. When he saw this scene, he was so scared that he covered his mouth and screamed. After she called out to him, Fang Jinnian came back to his senses from his shock and quickly ran up to hug Cai Yunmeng, who had lost control. Yunmeng, that's enough, stop it now. Jinnian, don't stop me. I must beat this unfaithful man to death here today. Cai Yunmeng was so angry that his whole body was shaking. What are you still standing there for? Call 120. Si Qin supported Jing Nancheng and shouted to the manager over there. He shot a cold and sharp look at Fang Jinnian and Cai Yunmeng. Security, why don't you call the police and arrest these two crazy women? After hearing Si Qin's yell, their hotel security quickly surrounded them. The scene suddenly became chaotic. This way. Lu Jingchen stepped out of the elevator, followed by Chen Ming and several senior executives of the hotel. He was walking towards the hotel entrance, and when he heard a noise, he paused and looked in the direction of the front desk. His sharp eyes leapt across the crowd and immediately spotted the delicate figure surrounded by security guards. His hawk-like brows were slightly furrowed. Why was this woman here? What's going on? He glanced sideways at the group of people behind him. Everyone was confused and shook their heads, indicating that they didn't know. Clean up the scene in 3 minutes and tell me what happened. Lu Jingchen retracted his gaze and ordered in a cold voice. He continued walking towards the door without even glancing over there. Yes, third young master. The executives behind him answered in unison. When they reached the door, Chen Ming opened the back door for him. Lu Jingchen got in, and Chen Ming followed him into the passenger seat. The executives stood in a row respectfully and watched him leave until the car drove away from the hotel. Then he turned around to deal with the accident in the hall. 022 entered the police station. The car moved forward slowly. Lu Jingchen was sitting in the back seat, with documents on his lap, reading intently. Chen Ming lowered the soundproofing board and called him from the front. Third young master, there's news from the hotel. Lu Jingchen looked up from the documents and looked at him. The lobby manager said that it was Jing Nancheng's wife who brought her friends to their hotel to catch him cheating. There was a conflict between the two sides, and Mrs. Jing's friend beat Jing Nancheng up. He is now on their way to the hospital. When he heard the words, court and adulterer, Lu Jingchen's heart skipped a beat. Badly hurt. It's not light. It is said that there were 2 holes on his head and a lot of blood was shed. Chen Ming repeated what the manager said just now. Where are those 2 women now? He has been taken away by the police. Taken away by the police. Lu Jingchen frowned, his face darkening. Who called the police? The hotel staff. No, it was Shi Xichin's request. Shi Xichin? Why does this name sound so familiar? I seem to have heard it somewhere before. Lu Jingchen tried to recall it in his mind, but he couldn't remember it immediately, so he didn't think about it any further. He just casually asked, is she the woman that Jing Nancheng keeps outside? Well, she started out as a model and has acted in several TV series. In recent years, with the protection of Jing Nancheng, she just won a Film and Television Newcomer Award not long ago. She is currently in the limelight. Chen Ming told him all the information he knew. After hearing this, Lu Jingchen just curled his lips and chuckled. It was not difficult to hear a hint of sarcasm in his shallow smile. After a moment of silence, Lu Jingchen thought of something and suddenly asked, did Jing send a plan over a few days ago? Yes. Bring it here. Chen Ming was startled. Third young master, do you want to cooperate with Jing Corporation? Can't. Of course not, but didn't you reject it outright last time? Chen Ming still remembered the day when Jing's employees brought the business plan over, but the third young master didn't even look at it and threw it directly into the trash can. Why did you suddenly change your mind? Chen Ming didn't know what Lu Jingchen was planning, and he didn't dare to ask any more questions. He just said, I'll give it to you when we get back to the company. Lu Jingchen didn't say anything else. He lowered his head and continued to look at the documents in his hand. Seeing that he said no more, Chen Ming also sat up straight. After a while, he heard Lu Jingchen's voice coming from the back seat again, what's your schedule tonight? I have an appointment with municipal officials to dine at the Jade Mansion. Call the chief of police, too. Chen Ming was stunned for a moment, not understanding why he gave such an order, but he did not ask any more questions. The third young master always had his own sense of propriety when doing things. He just nodded, I'll let you know right away. When they arrived, Jing Nancheng had just bandaged his wound and returned to the ward, looking very bad. 023, love it so much. The injury was not serious, but it was not light either. There was a hole on the forehead and 2 stitches were needed. Seeing her son's head wrapped in gauze, Song Shuqiu burst into tears after holding back all the way. Son, what did you do? Does it hurt? Dad, Mom, why are you here? Jing Nancheng looked at his parents who walked in, a little surprised. Who informed them of this? Subconsciously, he looked toward Shi Xichin who was standing beside the bed. I was the one who notified him. Shi Xichin did not hide it from him and admitted it generously. Jing Nancheng's brows tightened a little. Don't worry, Auntie. The doctor said it's okay now. Shi Xichin comforted Song Shuqiu obediently. When she heard her voice, Song Shuqiu realized that there was another person in the room. He raised his eyes and looked at her. You are. Hello, Aunt. My last name is Shi Xichin, and I am. Having said this, Shi Xichin paused and glanced at Jing Nancheng, as if he didn't know how to introduce himself. She is my brother's sweetheart. Jing Qianqian, who came in later, walked in and naturally took over the conversation. Sister Xichin, long time no see. She ran over with a smile and affectionately took Shi Xichin's arm. Shi Xichin smiled at her, and it seemed that they had a very good relationship. Qianqian, do you know each other? Song Shuqiu was a little surprised. More than just knowing each other, we have a very good relationship, Mom. This is the big star I often told you about who helped me a lot abroad. She is also my brother's beloved girlfriend, Sister Xichin. Jing Qianqian introduced playfully. She lowered her voice for the last sentence as she was afraid of Jing Wupen's presence. Listening to her daughter's introduction, Song Shuqiu's eyes lit up. It turned out that she was the Sister Xichin that Qianqian kept nagging about. Sure enough, he is much more pleasing to the eye than Fang Jinnian. Now, whenever Song Shuqiu thought of that unfaithful woman, she would get angry. He actually dared to cuckold his son. He deserves to die. Song Shuqiu suppressed her anger and looked at Shi Xichin with a smile on her face. Seeing is believing. Miss Shi is indeed a great beauty. You have helped our Qianqian so much. We have always wanted to invite you to our home for dinner, but we never found the opportunity. Aunt, you are too polite. It was my fault for not visiting you and uncle. I hope you don't mind. Shi Xiqin said gently and politely. After hearing what she said, Song Shuqiu immediately had a better impression of her. She didn't ignore her daughter's last words. If this woman is really compatible with her son, she would be very happy to have her as her daughter-in-law. Anyway, since that woman Fang Jinnian did such an immoral thing, the marriage is settled. Then I'll cook some of my specialties some other day and you can come to my house to try them. Song Shuqiu invited enthusiastically. Okay, I will definitely visit you and my uncle. Shi Xiqin agreed with a smile. Jing Guopeng, who had been standing aside and remained silent, spoke at the right time. How did you get injured? What did the doctor say? He asked directly while looking at Jing Nancheng, without even looking at Shi Xiqin or even saying hello. 024, unwelcome. Compared with his wife's enthusiasm, the alienation on Jing Guopeng's face was obvious. Jing Guopeng was not a fool, so how could he not know what his wife was thinking? Even though his daughter lowered her voice just now, he heard every word she said. Without asking, I can guess that my son must have been with this woman on the day he ran away from his marriage. Jing Guopeng's expression turned uglier. Uncle, the wound on Nancheng's head. I'm asking my son, he has his own way. Before Shi Xiqin could finish his words, he was interrupted by Jing Guopeng in a cold voice. His tone was always calm, but that calmness carried great intimidation. Having been in the business world for many years and having a military background, Jing Guopeng has an aura that makes people respect him and fear him. Moreover, anyone with eyes could see that he disliked the strange woman in front of him. Shi Xiqin was stunned by Jing Guopeng's cold attitude, and her face turned pale instantly. She stood there, biting her lower lip awkwardly, and looked at Jing Nancheng with some hurt. Jing Nancheng was also stunned. He didn't expect his father to be so disrespectful. Since childhood, Jing Nancheng has been in awe of his father. However, because of Fang Jinnian's incident, the relationship between father and son hit the rocks. I'm asking you a question. After not getting a response, Jing Guopeng asked again in a somewhat unhappy manner. He was still angry about Jing Nancheng's escape from marriage. Now, seeing Shi Xiqin here again, the anger in his heart became even worse. You'd better go and ask your well-behaved and sensible daughter-in-law what good things she has done. Jing Nancheng snorted in an unnatural tone. Whenever I mention that woman, I get extremely angry. Now, the wound on my head still hurts a lot. She was really capable. Not only did she betray him, she even dared to attack him in public. She was simply tired of living. Jing Nancheng was so angry that his face turned blue and his teeth were chattering. Hearing his incoherent words, Jing Guopeng frowned, looking puzzled. Song Shuqiu also reacted. Oh, son, you are injured. Why didn't that woman see anyone? Where did she die? Song Shuqiu was also born into a wealthy family, but the words she said did not sound like those of a lady from a noble family at all. Jing Qianqian inherited this trait exactly. Her brain worked quickly, and she immediately understood what Jing Nancheng meant. She exclaimed, "Brother, the wound on your head couldn't have been caused by that woman." Jing Nancheng didn't say anything, but the expression on his face was already quite ugly. Oh my God, son, is this true? Song Shuqiu was also shocked when she heard her daughter say this. Seeing that Jing Nancheng didn't reply, she looked at Shi Xiqin opposite and asked, "Is what Qianqian said true?" Aunt, Nancheng's injury. Shi Xiqin paused, as if she didn't know whether to answer or not, but soon she continued, "This injury was indeed caused by Fang Jinnian." She did not call her Mrs. Jing, but called Fang Jinnian by her name. In Shi Xiqin's heart, she was Jing Nancheng's wife, and she, Fang Jinnian, was not worthy of marrying him, let alone the title of Mrs. Jing. Song Shuqiu was very angry at her words. 025, I want to give up. Where is that dead woman now? She doesn't want to live anymore, right? She actually dared to attack her own husband. Song Shuqiu took out her cell phone and was about to call Fang Jinnian to question her. Jing Guopeng, who was standing by, was much calmer than her. He grabbed her hand and stopped her. Calm down. You don't even know what happened. Don't you think it's unreasonable to accuse her of something like this? Jing Guopeng believed that his daughter-in-law would not be so ignorant of propriety, and that his son must have done something to hurt her. Unreasonable. Jing Guopeng, you say I'm unreasonable. Look carefully, it was that woman who hurt my son like this.
It's okay for you to protect her on normal days, but this time, I will never let her go. Song Shuqiu angrily shook off Jing Wupeng's hand and was about to make a phone call. Seeing how furious she was, Shi Siqin added, "Aunt, she's at the police station now." I heard the word, police station. Song Shuqiu's movements paused, and a hint of shock flashed in her eyes. Jing Wupeng and Jing Qianqian were both stunned. "Why did you go to the police station?" Jing Wupeng asked Jing Nancheng, his cold and stern tone full of severity. Jing Nancheng pursed his lips tightly and remained silent. Shi Siqin felt a chill down his spine as he watched this scene. He mustered up his courage and took the initiative to explain. It was the hotel staff who called the police, and they took her away. It's a good thing that she was caught. We should make her suffer in jail. Otherwise, she won't know her own worth. Jing Qianqian said gloatingly. Shut up. Jing Wupeng glared at his daughter opposite him. Jing Qianqian shrank her neck in fear and subconsciously hid behind Shi Siqin. Seeing Jing Wupeng's furious look, Shi Siqin couldn't help but feel a little scared. Why are you yelling at your daughter? She didn't say anything wrong. I'm going to call lawyer Qi right now and ask him to ask the police to lock up that woman for a few more days and punish her. If she doesn't learn a lesson, she will think that everyone in our Jing family is easy to bully. Song Shuqiu said, gritting her teeth, and was about to call Jing's lawyer. Just try and fight me if you dare. Jing Wupeng shouted angrily. Their voice was loud and full of authority. Everyone in the room was startled by his low shout, including Jing Nancheng, who was lying on the hospital bed. He frowned and finally said, Dad, I will never let this go. There was no room for dispute in the firm tone. What do you mean? Don't interfere in this matter. I will handle it myself. Jing Nancheng said coldly. Isn't he Fang Jinnian very capable? This time he wants to see if she can still stand up in front of him. Jing Wupeng was angered by his son's words, and his face turned ugly. I'm warning you about this matter in advance. If anyone dares to do anything wrong, don't blame me for being rude. After saying this in a resounding voice, Jing Wupeng turned around and left the ward. Seeing the anger on her father's face, Jing Qianqian couldn't help but mutter, who are his children? Why is Dad so partial to that woman? After hearing her daughter's words, Song Shuqiu's expression suddenly became much colder, and the hatred for Fang Jinnian in her eyes became even stronger. 026, the third young master of the Lu family. Fang Jinnian and Cai Yunmeng were put in jail together. After calming down, Cai Yunmeng did not regret her behavior at all. However, when she thought of Jing Nancheng's previous threats, she was still a little scared. Jing Nancheng is a man who always seeks revenge for any flaws. She had beaten him up, and he would definitely not be able to swallow this humiliation. No matter how he treated her, it didn't matter to her. She was just afraid that he would do something bad to his parents and Jinnian. Jinnian, tell me, Jing Nancheng won't really let my parents lose their jobs, right? Cai Yunmeng looked at Fang Jinnian with some concern. Fang Jinnian held her hand and patted it gently. Don't worry, it'll be fine. Actually, Jinnian didn't have much confidence to say this, because she knew Jing Nancheng too well. If she beat him in front of so many people today, he would definitely feel embarrassed. Moreover, he was always an arrogant person, and he would definitely not take such a loss in vain. However, Fang Jinnian was really unsure about what means he would use to retaliate against them. As the two were talking, a policeman came over. He stood at the door and shouted, Fang Jinnian, who is that? It's me. Fang Jinnian stood up. Come out, someone will protect you, you can go now. The police opened the door and let her out. Fang Jinnian was stunned for a moment, and subconsciously pointed at Cai Yunmeng beside him. Police, what about her? She can't leave. Why, I came in with her. She beat someone up like that, how can she leave? Just wait to receive the court summons handed over by Jing. Hurry up. The policeman stood at the door and urged with an impatient look on his face. Fang Jinnian was shocked by the police's words. Is Jing Nancheng planning to sue Yunmeng? She wanted to say something for Cai Yunmeng, but she stood up and said, Jinnian, I'm fine. Please go out. Please pay attention to my parents. Yunmeng. Fang Jinnian held Cai Yunmeng's hand tightly and refused to let go, his eyes full of guilt. I'm fine, really, don't worry about me. Cai Yunmeng smiled at her and sent her to the door. Seeing her like this, Fang Jinnian felt uncomfortable.
Yunmeng, I will definitely rescue you as soon as possible. The police took Fang Jinnian out of the detention room and walked to the office outside. A group of people in neatly dressed police uniforms walked towards her. When the policeman next to him saw the newcomer, he immediately greeted him respectfully, "Hello, Chief." The leading man only nodded slightly, his eyes falling directly on Fang Jinnian. He extended his hand and greeted her enthusiastically, "Mrs. Jing, we are sorry for not doing our job well and frightening you." Fang Jinnian was stunned for a moment, then reached out and shook hands with him. "The car is ready outside to take you home." The police chief politely gestured for invitation. Fang Jinnian was a little flattered. When had she ever been so honored that the director personally prepared a car for her? The policeman standing by realized that she was Mrs. Jing and was shocked for a moment. On their way out, the police chief found topics to talk to her. "Mrs. Jing, I didn't expect that you and the third young master are also acquaintances." "Third young master? What third young master?" "Director, excuse me, who is the third young master you are talking about?" "The third young master of the Liu family." "The third young master of the Liu family." This name sounded familiar, as if she had heard it somewhere before, but she didn't know anyone with the last name Liu. "It was the third young master who bailed you out," the director added. "R." Fang Jinnian was shocked. She didn't even know this person, so why would he come to protect her? Seeing her frightened look, the director was also stunned. "What? Doesn't Mrs. Jing know the third young master? That can't be possible. If he wasn't familiar with him, why would he come to rescue someone?" "No, I'm just a little surprised." Fang Jinnian suppressed the shock in his heart and responded casually. 027, Return to the Jing family. When we came out of the police station, it was already completely dark. That day, Fang Jinnian stayed in the bureau and didn't eat anything. Sitting in the car on their way back to Jing's house, he felt a little uncomfortable in his stomach. Recently, her pregnancy reactions have become more and more severe. She can't help but put her fingers on her lower abdomen. She can't imagine that there is a little life inside. Because of the accident that happened this morning, we were unable to find out the truth when we investigated. And after today's incident, it will probably be even more difficult to get over it in the future. Fang Jinnian was in a state of confusion. She didn't know whether she should keep the child or abort it. At this moment, I don't know whether Jing Nancheng has returned to the Jing family, or how serious the injury on his head is. Yunmeng didn't hold back and a lot of blood was shed on the spot. I hope there aren't any after effects. Although their relationship has become so unbearable today, in Fang Jinnian's heart, he is still her husband and she still has feelings for him. What's more, if something really happened to him and Yunmeng was still in the bureau, he would definitely not let it go. Just before leaving, she asked the director to take extra care of Yunmeng. Although he agreed, Jinnian still felt uneasy. She must be rescued from there as soon as possible. They soon arrived at the gate of the Jing family, but the driver did not drive in. Fang Jinnian thanked him and got out of the car. She stood at the door, looking up at the villa that was as bright as day, feeling mixed emotions. She lived here for 3 months, going out early and coming back late every day, living in fear. Even, every day when she came back, she would subconsciously look up at the bedroom on the second floor. Every time she looked into the distance with anticipation, she was met with disappointment in response. Gradually, she got used to it. She got used to Jing Nancheng's absence, his indifference, and everything that Jing Nancheng gave her. Just like now, the lights were on everywhere in the whole villa, except for that bedroom which was dark. She thought that her heart had died long ago in the endless waiting, but at this moment, she still felt melancholy, and her chest still felt like it was being pressed by a huge rock, causing severe pain. I thought this kind of marriage would last until the day she died. Unexpectedly, the accident happened yesterday. She had said she would never come back here, and she didn't dare to imagine what Song Shuqiu would think when she saw her. She also didn't know whether Jing Nancheng was in there at the moment. Maybe he was, maybe not. No matter what, since she was there, she had to go in and take a look. The guard saw her coming back and quickly opened the door for her. "Madam, you are back." Fang Jinnian smiled and nodded, then walked in. After a few steps, she suddenly stopped and turned to look at the guard, wanting to ask as she usually did, "Is the young master back?" But today, the words came to my lips, but I couldn't say them. The guard, however, knew what she was going to say and answered first, "Young madam,
the master and the mistress are both at home, and the mistress seems to be in a bad mood. Fang Jinnian knew what the doorman meant. In this family, apart from his father-in-law, the only ones who cared sincerely were the servants. Presumably, they all knew that Jing Nancheng was injured. I understand, thank you. Fang Jinnian thanked him sincerely, then turned around and continued walking into their house. 028, get out. As soon as she reached the door, the housekeeper noticed that she was back and hurried out to greet her. Madam, you are back. Have you had dinner? Have eaten? Is the young master back? Fang Jinnian asked. The butler didn't have time to reply. All I heard was a sharp roar from the living room. Fang Jinnian, you still have the nerve to come back to this house. Song Shuqiu rushed out of the polite room angrily. When she saw Fang Jinnian standing at the door, her eyes tightened. Without saying a word, she rushed over and slapped her in the face with her hand. The slap came unexpectedly and without warning. There was only a loud snapping sound, which echoed throughout the hallway. 5 red finger marks immediately appeared on Fang Jinnian's left cheek, and it swelled up instantly. It was conceivable how much force Song Shuqiu used in that slap. The butler beside him gasped in fear. Fang Jinnian was even pushed back a few steps, but fortunately the housekeeper was quick to help her up and she was saved from falling. She stood there, holding her aching cheek, her mind spinning, and it felt like hundreds of bees were buzzing in her ears. You are so bold that you actually laid hands on my son. Fang Jinnian, are you tired of living? Song Shuqiu growled and raised his hand, as if to slap him again. The housekeeper immediately protected Fang Jinnian and held Song Shuqiu's hand. Madam, you can't do that. What's the use of it? I'm going to beat this shameless woman to death here today. Song Shuqiu spoke every word with great emphasis, wishing that those words were a sharp sword that could stab the woman opposite to her to death. Get out of the way. Lady. Jing Nancheng, who was applying a facial mask upstairs, heard some noise downstairs and ran out to see that it was Fang Jinnian who had returned. She didn't care about the mask on her face. She ran downstairs and stood behind her mother. Uncle housekeeper, please get out of the way and let my mother teach this woman a lesson. She actually dared to hit my brother. She is simply asking for her own death. While helping Song Shuqiu to pull the housekeeper away, Jing Nancheng added fuel to the fire. Madam, we are all family, please talk it over nicely. The housekeeper did not dare to stop them too much. After all, they were the masters of this family. But she was afraid that the young lady would get hurt, so she could only persuade her. Who is a family member to her? There is no such shameless woman in our Jing family. Jing Nancheng glanced at Fang Jinnian with disdain. The housekeeper was ultimately no match for the two of them and was pushed away. Song Shuqiu walked up to Fang Jinnian, raised her hand, and was about to slap him again. This time, Jinnian came to her senses and turned her head away, so Song Shuqiu didn't hit her. However, her long nails scratched a bloody mark on her face. She groaned in pain, and blood immediately began to drip. Song Shuqiu didn't expect that she would actually hide. She was so angry that her eyes widened. But when she saw the bloodstain, the depression in her heart dissipated a little. But she still refused to give in and raised her hand to grab her hair, but was grabbed by Fang Jinnian. Her grip was so strong that a circle of red marks was left on Song Shuqiu's wrist. Song Shuqiu was very surprised. Her expression changed again and again. Fang Jinnian, you have become more capable, you actually dare to fight back. Tiana. Song Shuqiu called her daughter, intending to ask her for help. Have you had enough of the trouble? Suddenly an angry shout rang out in the room. Jing Guopen came out of the study after hearing his wife's sharp voice. He stood on the second floor and looked at the scene downstairs with a cold look in his eyes, which seemed extremely dazzling. Put your hands down. He ordered coldly and walked down the stairs. Fang Jinnian endured the burning pain on his face, looked at Song Shuqiu, and finally let go of his hand. Song Shuqiu was unwilling to give in and wanted to take action, but her husband had already walked downstairs, so she had to give up. Mom, are you okay? Jing Nancheng ran up and looked at the red marks on her mother's hands. She yelled angrily, Dad, look at how this woman beat Mom. I have eyes, I can see clearly who hits who. Jing Guopen's cold gaze swept across his daughter's face and finally stopped on Jinnian's injured face. With a distressed look in his eyes, he ordered the housekeeper, go and get the medicine box. Yes. The housekeeper immediately went to get the medicine box. Fang Jinnian was fortunate that she had a sensible father-in-law in this family. Dad. If you have anything to say, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Go upstairs and get some rest. Jing Guopeng interrupted Fang Jinnian and looked at his wife and daughter. You all go back to your rooms. If anyone dares to make trouble again tonight, get out of this house. Dad. Jing Qianqian stomped her feet in anger. Jing Guopeng glanced over coldly, and Jing Qianqian was so scared that she immediately fell silent. 029. Something happened. Fang Jinnian only wanted to find Jing Nancheng now, but seeing her father-in-law's attitude, she had to hold back no matter how much she wanted to say. Although she had only been in this family for a short time, she had already gotten to know the family's personalities. My father-in-law is a man of his word. If she annoys him again, Yunmeng's situation will be in even greater danger. It can be seen that my father-in-law is helping her. Fang Jinnian wanted to leave, but right now, she had nowhere to go. She couldn't go back to the Fang family, and there was no point in Yunmeng going back. She only hoped that Jing Nancheng would come back tonight. Fang Jinnian returned to the bedroom upstairs and took out his cell phone to call Jing Nancheng. But after calling several times, he hung up mercilessly every time. In the end, he even turned off his phone. Jinnian sat dejectedly on the sofa, feeling confused and troubled. Where is Jingnan City now? Is it the hospital, or has he already left the hospital and returned to Shixiqin? She had no idea, let alone who to turn to. On weekdays, Fang Jinnian is not very familiar with those friends who are close to Jing Nancheng, let alone having their contact information. At this moment, Liu's mother knocked on the door and came in with a medicine box, wanting to apply medicine to the wound on her face. Auntie Liu, do you know where Jing Nancheng is now? Jinnian thought to himself, maybe Auntie Liu would hear some news at home. But, she was disappointed. Young master? I don't know about that. Madam, did anything happen between you and the young master? In this family, the person who talks to Jinnian the most is Aunt Liu. Today, the lady was so angry. It was the first time she had seen this in all the years she had been in the Jing family. She couldn't help but be a little scared. Fang Jinnian shook his head, unwilling to mention what happened today. Seeing that she didn't want to say more, Liu Mar didn't ask any more questions. But looking at her swollen and shocking half of the cheek, I still felt a little distressed and couldn't help but say, Madam, you were really too harsh. Heavy? This is probably the lightest. Fang Jinnian curled her lips bitterly. If her father-in-law had not been at home today, she was afraid that she would have been beaten to death by the mother and daughter. Mother Liu felt uncomfortable when she saw the obscure smile on her lips. She opened the ointment, squeezed out some and put it on a cotton swab, and was going to apply the ointment to her. When Fang Jinnian smelled the medicine, he felt a cramp in his stomach. She covered her mouth, stood up from the sofa, and ran to the bathroom. Mother Liu was startled by her action. Not knowing what was going on, she hurried over and saw her lying on the toilet, retching uncomfortably. I hadn't eaten anything for a day, so what I vomited out was acid. Liu Mar was an experienced person, and seeing her like this, she suddenly had doubts in her heart. But then she thought, the young master has not returned home for 3 months since the young mistress got married, so it is unlikely that she is pregnant. But she looked like. Mother Liu didn't dare to guess anything, thinking that she must be thinking too much. She was afraid that her slip of the tongue would cause unnecessary misunderstandings, so she quickly discarded the idea in her mind. He just patted her back and said worriedly, Madam, what's wrong with you? Are you feeling sick in your stomach? I'll ask the driver to take you to the hospital. Fang Jinnian reluctantly waved his hand, I'm fine. Now, apart from the elders on both sides who knew about her pregnancy, the servants in the house were still unaware. Jinnian also didn't want them to know. If they knew that she had betrayed Jing Nancheng, she could imagine how they would look at her. She had already endured it once at the wedding, and this time, she really didn't have the courage to face it again. Let's keep it a secret for as long as we can. Even if she was just escaping, she was really tired of this marriage. Fang Jinnian felt better after she emptied her stomach. When Liu Mar helped her out of the bathroom, she looked even more fragile, and her face was frighteningly pale. Madam, lie down for a while. I'll make you some porridge. Drink it and then go to sleep. You'll feel more comfortable. Aunt Liu couldn't bear to see her like this and wanted to go downstairs to make porridge for her. Fang Jinnian wanted to say that it was not necessary,
and besides, she had no appetite to eat. But think about it, she is not alone now, there is a child in her belly. Yun Meng was right. As long as the child was in her belly, she would be responsible for him. No matter whether he could be kept in the future, at least, she could not treat him badly during the time he was in her belly. The mistake was hers, the child was innocent, and she couldn't let the child suffer with him. Thinking of this, she didn't try to stop Liu Mar anymore. Mother Liu was very efficient and had cooked the porridge in no time. Fang Jinnian forced herself to drink a bowl of porridge. Maybe it was because of her pregnancy, but she felt very tired and sleepy. After finishing the porridge, she fell asleep on the bed. She didn't sleep well that night. She was haunted by nightmares and remained in a daze until the next morning, when she was awakened by a phone call. At first, she was still confused and answered the call without even having time to check the caller ID. It was not until she heard the cry of Kai Yunmeng's mother that she woke up completely. 030, raise an army to hold the culprit accountable. Nian, do you know where our Menger is? I called her all night but no one answered. I was almost going crazy. When Fang Jinnian was in school, she often went to the Kai family, so Kai's father and mother were very familiar with her and loved her like another daughter. Aunt, Yun Meng had a sudden business trip yesterday. Her phone might have run out of battery while she was away. Don't worry. Fang Jinnian could only make up a lie to appease Kai's mother. So what can we do about this? Aunt, has something happened? When Fang Jinnian heard what Kai's mother said, his heart skipped a beat. He had a premonition that something bad must have happened. As expected, Kai's mother was heard crying on the other end of the phone. Yesterday afternoon, Meng's father came back from class and was inexplicably taken away by a group of people. They said he accepted gifts from students' parents and taught classes outside during the holidays. They wanted to take him to the education department for investigation and said he might be dismissed from his job. Fang Jinnian was surprised by her words. It seemed that Jing Nancheng really did what he said. Aunt, don't worry. I'll find a way to deal with this matter. I know someone at the education department. I'll find out the situation first and then tell you. Okay, Nian, you are capable, and everyone you know is either rich or noble. I'll leave this matter to you. Mother Kai sobbed, and placed all her hopes on Jinnian as if she was grasping at a life-saving straw. She was also desperate. She and her husband were both diligent and honest teachers in the school. How could they accept any gifts from students' parents? Last time, there was a student in Kai's father's class who had serious academic imbalance. In order to help him get into a good university, Kai's father privately gave him special lessons and gave him remedial lessons for a period of time, but he did not charge the child a penny. It's just that the child's parents were farmers with kind hearts. They always felt sorry for the child, so they gave them some smoked fish and bacon from the village. They also repeatedly declined, but the other parent refused to take it back, and left the gift at their doorstep and left. They accepted the gift, and as for taking classes outside, that was a few years ago, before the national policy came out, and many teachers did the same. But after the national policy came out, they never took classes outside again. Kai's mother didn't know who she and her husband had offended, and it seemed that this person was from a powerful background. They were worried that their daughter had offended someone outside and was afraid that she would suffer a loss, so they called to ask about her situation. However, the call was not connected. Kai's mother was almost going crazy at home. Fortunately, Nian told her that he was going on a business trip, and Kai's mother felt a little relieved. Aunt, I'll go find someone to find out the situation first. I'll call you if there's any news. Don't worry too much. I promise everything will be fine. Fang Jinnian comforted Kai's mother, feeling full of guilt. Nian, I believe you. I'll wait for your call. Okay. Fang Jinnian and Kai's mother hung up the phone, having no idea what was going on. She didn't know anyone in the education department at all, and she didn't know where to go to inquire about Kai's father's situation. She held the phone in her hand, thinking over and over again, and decided that the person who tied the bell must be found to untie it, so she had to find Jing Nancheng. She dialed Jing Nancheng's number and called again. Waited for a few seconds. Hello, the number you dialed is turned off. Hearing these cold, mechanical words again, Fang Jinnian was so angry that he threw the phone in his hand onto the quilt. Hospital. Jing Nancheng is staying in the VVIP room of the best hospital in Jincheng, Ace Hospital. Shi Xiqin took care of him that night. The injury on the head is not light. The doctor said it is a mild concussion, and those 2 wounds are likely to leave scars in the future. Early in the morning, Jing Nancheng woke up slowly. His head still hurt, and he subconsciously rubbed his temples with his hands. The bed was very large, and Shi Xiqin was sleeping in his arms. At this moment, she hadn't woken up yet. Jing Nancheng looked at the woman in his arms. Maybe it was because he was dizzy, but he was dazed for a moment and felt that the woman in his arms was Fang Jinnian. What a ghost! When I think of that woman, I feel so depressed. After lying down for a night, he felt a little thirsty and planned to get out of bed to drink some water. As soon as he moved, the woman in his arms woke up. Shi Xiqin opened his hazy eyes and looked at him. Nancheng, you're awake. Jing Nancheng hummed softly, why didn't you go back? You fell asleep here. You're injured, so of course I have to stay here and take care of you. Shi Xiqin reached out and gently stroked the wound on his forehead. Does it still hurt? It's okay. Jing Nancheng grabbed her hand and held it in his palm. The woman in front of him was gentle and generous, much better than that boring woman Fang Jinnian. That woman always had a stiff face and a submissive look, which made him angry. What was even more infuriating was that she dared to betray him and sleep with another man, and even got pregnant. Jing Nancheng has lived for 28 years and has never been treated like this by any woman. She, Fang Jinnian, was the first one, and as his legal wife, she was really brave. Nancheng, what are you thinking about? Shi Xiqin called him several times, but he didn't respond. He waved his hands in front of his eyes twice. I wasn't thinking about anything. Jing Nancheng came back to his senses and realized that he had been thinking about that woman Fang Jinnian since early morning. He cursed in his heart. You must be hungry. I'll go downstairs and buy you breakfast. Shi Xiqin pulled his hand back and got off the bed. You don't need to go through the trouble of running down there. Just call and order food directly. If you let others recognize you, you will inevitably be gossiped about. Jing Nancheng said. Hearing his words, Shi Xiqin felt as sweet as if it were filled with honey. Okay, I'll listen to you. I'll get you a glass of water first, and then I'll make the call. Shi Xiqin poured him a glass of water, picked up his phone and went to order food. Jing Nancheng drank a glass of water, put the cup down, glanced at his mobile phone on the bedside table, and frowned. From the time he was injured and hospitalized yesterday until now, Fang Jinnian hasn't even called him once. She is really great. Jing Nancheng was so angry that he gritted his teeth, grabbed the phone, and was about to call and hold the master accountable. I took the phone and saw that it was turned off. When did the phone turn off? He clearly made a phone call yesterday afternoon, and the battery was still over 90%. It is impossible for the phone to shut down automatically due to lack of power. On second thought, there is only one possibility. He raised his head and glanced outside the hall, seeing Shi Xiqin making a phone call to order food, and his eyes darkened. He looked away and turned on the phone quickly. As soon as the phone was turned on, a call came in. Jing Nancheng looked at the caller ID on the screen, and the corners of his lips involuntarily raised a little. 031, buy her clothes. Jing Nancheng looked at the caller ID on the screen, and the corners of his lips involuntarily raised a little. He didn't answer the call immediately, but waited for a long time, as if he wanted to make the other party anxious. Just when the phone was about to hang up automatically, he answered it. Hello, Jing Nancheng, where are you? Fang Jinnian's anxious voice came over. Do you have something to talk to me about? Jing Nancheng spoke slowly and with a domineering tone. Where are you? I'll come find you. Fang Jinnian asked directly. Jing Nancheng did not hesitate and directly gave his address. Okay, I'll be there right away. Fang Jinnian said as he was about to hang up the phone. Wait. Jing Nancheng called her. Anything else? I had too much fun last night and tore all of Xiqin's clothes. On your way here, buy her a new set of clothes, from inside to outside, including a bra that should be 2 cup sizes larger than yours. Also, I need my clothes, as soon as possible. My patience is limited. After saying that, Jing Nancheng hung up the phone without waiting for Fang Jinnian to reply. Fang Jinnian held the phone, frozen in place. She thought she had heard something wrong, but Jing Nancheng's words kept echoing in her ears. Embarrassment and humiliation surged into her heart, making her eyes red all of a sudden. Jing Nancheng is really going too far. She gritted her teeth and suppressed her fragility. She knew that Jing Nancheng was deliberately taking revenge on her for the hurt she had suffered yesterday and for her betrayal. She had no right to blame him for anything. Right now, rescuing Yunmeng and Kai's father was the key. Fang Jinnian covered her aching heart, ran into the bathroom, washed up, and looked at the half-swollen face in the mirror. She was shocked. I hadn't looked in the mirror yesterday, so I didn't know the extent of my injury. I just felt a burning pain on my cheek. After a night, the bloody mark left by Song Shuqiu's scratch had become red and swollen, and it was particularly glaring next to the red marks of the 5 fingers. There was no time to take care of the wound. Fang Jinnian just let his hair down to cover it a little so it wouldn't be so conspicuous. After coming out of the bathroom, she went to the locker room, quickly changed her clothes, and got another set for Jing Nancheng before going out. When I was going downstairs, I happened to meet Song Shuqiu coming out of the bedroom on the 2nd floor. She moved her lips to say hello, but Song Shuqiu snorted coldly, as if she saw some dirty bacteria, and with a bang, she turned around and went straight into the room. That indifferent back made Fang Jinnian feel embarrassed. He didn't stay for long and continued walking downstairs. When Liu Ma saw her coming down with the bag, she said, "Madam, breakfast is ready." "Auntie Liu, I'm in a hurry to go out, so I won't eat," Jinnian said as he ran out the door. "How can you not eat breakfast?" "Wait a minute, I'll get you an egg and a few sandwiches for you to eat on the way." After saying that, Mother Liu turned around and went to the kitchen to pack breakfast. Jinnian had just changed his shoes when Liu's mother came out carrying a packing box. He stuffed it into her hand and said, "I have heated up the milk. You have a bad stomach. Drink it while it's hot. Don't choke. Eat slowly." Hearing Liu Ma's caring advice, Jinnian's eyes suddenly turned red again. "Mother Liu, thank you," she choked with sobs. "Thank you so much, it's all my duty. I just notified the driver and he went to drive. Please be careful on the road." Jinnian didn't want to ask the driver at home to take her there, but Jing Nancheng was not a patient person, and it would be difficult to get a taxi so early in the morning, so she didn't refuse and got in the car directly. Jinnian first asked the driver to take her to the largest shopping mall in Jincheng, but it was not open at this early hour. However, many women's clothing stores in the commercial street next door were already open. Given Shi Qin's status and personality, she probably wouldn't wear anything other than branded clothes. If she buys them, Jing Nancheng will definitely be angry and might even ask her to buy them again. There was no choice but to wait outside. After waiting for about half an hour, the mall opened. Fang Jinnian didn't care that she was pregnant. She ran in quickly and got a set of clothes for Shi Qin according to her own understanding. When she swiped the card, she remembered Jing Nancheng's last few words. "Wait a minute, I haven't bought anything yet." Then she turned around and went to a world-famous lingerie store. The waiter recognized her at a glance and greeted her warmly, "Mrs. Jing, you are here shopping so early. Is there anything I can help you with?" Fang Jinnian's eyes wandered around the store, and finally landed on a set of bright red sexy lingerie. She pointed at it and said, "Pack that set of clothes for me." The waiter was stunned and couldn't help but look back and forth at Fang Jinnian. No way, she came here early in the morning just to buy sexy lingerie, and this style is not suitable for a young woman of her age. The waiter, with a conscientious attitude, felt that he still needed to remind her, "Mrs. Jing, that dress is our middle-aged style from last year, and it may not be suitable for you. Last year's model, that couldn't be better. It's okay. I'm not wearing it. I'm giving it to someone else. Please pack it for me." Fang Jinnian smiled at the waiter. "I'm in a hurry. Please hurry up." Hearing her say this, the waiter suddenly understood and nodded repeatedly, "Okay, I'll pack it for you right away. Which size do you need?" Fang Jinnian reported a size, and the waiter quickly packed the clothes and handed the bag to her. "Mrs. Jing, welcome to visit us next time." "Thanks." Fang Jinnian paid the bill and came out of the mall with the clothes in her hand. The driver was still waiting in the parking lot. She got in the car and told him the address of the hospital directly. At this time, there was still some traffic jam on the road. When we arrived at the hospital, it was almost 10 o'clock. Fang Jinnian was very anxious, afraid that Jing Nancheng would change his mind again, so she got out of the car, told the driver not to wait for her, and ran to the inpatient building in a hurry. After finally squeezing into an elevator, she leaned against the mirror wall, a little out of breath. She only drank a glass of milk in the morning, and after this run, her stomach began to feel uncomfortable again. She covered her mouth, resisting the urge to vomit. Fortunately, the elevator was fast and reached the 12th floor. She stepped out of the elevator, took a deep breath, and then walked towards Jing Nancheng's ward. 032, Supporter 1. When she passed the service desk, she stopped and asked the nurse on duty how to get to the ward. There was a little girl with sharp eyes who recognized her at a glance. "You must be Mrs. Jing," the little girl said with a smile. "I watched the live broadcast of your wedding on TV. It was spectacular." Fang Jinnian smiled awkwardly. The nurse beside her nudged her with her hand, signaling her not to mention that matter again, but the little girl was immersed in her own world and didn't react at all. "You are much more beautiful in person than on TV. You are here to see Mr. Jing, right?" Fang Jinnian nodded. "Excuse me, how do I get to his ward?" "Mr. Jing just went for a checkup and may not be back for a while." "How about you sit here with us for a while?" the girl said enthusiastically. "Went for a checkup? It's okay. Just tell me where his ward is and I'll wait outside." Fang Jinnian said politely. "Okay then, just go straight from here and it's the third room." "Okay, thank you." Fang Jinnian thanked him and walked towards Jing Nancheng's ward. As soon as she left the service desk, the nurses gathered together and started gossiping. "You said Mr. Jing was injured yesterday, why did Mrs. Jing come here today? Could it be that their relationship is really as the media said, and Mr. Jing doesn't love Mrs. Jing at all?" "It's very possible. Did you notice that Mrs. Jing also has injuries on her face, as if she was beaten by someone? Could it be that she had a quarrel with Mr. Jing? It's hard to say. Anyway, since Mr. Jing was hospitalized yesterday, there has been a woman accompanying him and taking care of him. Moreover, when Mrs. Jing came out yesterday, she kept holding the woman's hand, as if she liked her very much. Could it be that Mr. Jing didn't attend the wedding because of this woman? 9 out of 10 times, it seems that Mrs. Jing is not only disliked by Mr. Jing, but also seems to be disliked by her mother-in-law and sister-in-law. Mrs. Jing is so pitiful. At the wedding, Mr. Jing embarrassed her so much. Now, not only did the Jing family not help her, but they also made her angry. So, the life of a wealthy man is not as glamorous as we imagined. Didn't you always want to marry into a wealthy family? Look at the kind of life they live. If a woman marries a man who doesn't love her, her life will be ruined. Yes, I agree. If this is the kind of marriage life, I'd rather be single for the rest of my life than go through that pain." Everyone was talking at once. Fang Jinnian listened to every word they said. She did not stop and her face showed no emotion. She just chuckled to herself in her heart. You see, it turns out that everyone knows how pitiful and miserable she is. But before this, she had been deceiving herself by telling herself that things would slowly get better in the future. As long as she worked harder, Jing Nancheng would see her good side and return to his family. Now, it's just her wishful thinking. She never looked back, but kept walking forward, as if she had not heard what they had just said. Fang Jinnian did not go in, but stood outside the door waiting. After waiting for about half an hour, her legs were a little sore from standing. Suddenly, she heard a nurse call out, "Mr. Jing." She almost subconsciously turned her head to look over, and saw Shi Xijin supporting Jing Nancheng walking out of the elevator. Jing Nancheng had gauze wrapped around his head and his face didn't look good. Shi Xijin supported him carefully. Although the mask covered most of her face, one could still see the heartache and worry in her eyes. Jing Nancheng's hand was also tightly holding hers, and from a distance, the two of them looked like a loving couple. Fang Jinnian's heart sank. Perhaps noticing her gaze, Jing Nancheng raised his eyes and looked in her direction. When he saw her figure, his eyes, which were originally full of tenderness, suddenly turned cold. Shi Xijin sensed something strange about him and followed his gaze. When he saw Fang Jinnian, he was stunned for a moment. Then, thinking of everything that happened in the hotel yesterday, his eyes flashed with intense hatred. Jing Nancheng stopped and did not move forward. He just looked at her straight, with a dark look of mockery and revenge in his cold eyes. Fang Jinnian immediately understood what he meant. He was waiting for her to come over. She took a deep breath, without much hesitation, straightened her back, tightly grasped the bag in her hand, and walked towards him.
It was only a distance of tens of seconds, but every step she took felt like she was walking on the edge of a knife, very heavy. Finally, she stood in front of Jing Nancheng.
Jing Nancheng stared at her, his eyes immediately noticing the wound on her face.
His eyes trembled, but soon, the shock was suppressed by her, and she raised her thin lips in a playful arc without saying anything. The nurses at the nurses' station all poked their heads out and looked at the scene curiously. Fang Jinnian clenched his fingers, held out the bag in his hand, and said calmly, "This is what you want."
Jing Nancheng snorted lightly, without even looking at the things she handed over. He raised his big hand, and with a bang, he ruthlessly slammed the bags to the ground.
Clothes were scattered all over the floor, including the sexy lingerie that she had just bought from the lingerie store. Fang Jinnian was stunned by his action, and the nurses behind him all gasped in shock. They looked at the eye-catching underwear and thong on the ground and exclaimed in disbelief.
"God, this is too sexy. Does Mrs. Jing usually dress so boldly?"
Shi Qin, who was standing by, was also startled when he saw the clothes on the ground. He glanced at Fang Jinnian opposite him, and then looked at Jing Nancheng beside him. Jing Nancheng was also a little surprised. His cold eyes swept over the clothes on the ground. His narrow eyes became several degrees colder, as if covered with a layer of frost. He bent down, picked up the red thong underwear that fell at his feet with his index finger, shook it in front of Fang Jinnian's eyes, and sneered, "I didn't expect Mrs. Jing to have such a strong taste. Do you usually dress like this?"
033, support her too.
You? Fang Jinnian felt too embarrassed and reached out to snatch the underwear from his hand.
Jing Nancheng would never let her take it away.
He was determined to humiliate her. He raised his hands above his head, and the nurses behind them could see it more clearly. Suddenly, the sounds of surprise became louder, and even many patients in the neighboring wards came out to watch the show. Fang Jinnian's face turned red with shame and she just wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl into. But Jing Nancheng was unyielding. "Mrs. Jing, you can't bring these clothes here because you can't get into my bed at home. You want to seduce me in the hospital while I'm injured." Jing Nancheng's words were not spoken lightly, and each one was spoken very heavily, and his voice full of humiliation resounded throughout the entire corridor. Fang Jinnian looked at him in disbelief. How could he say such a thing?
"Jing Nancheng, it was you who asked me to bring these clothes,"
she reminded him.
"I asked you to bring it here? Do you have any evidence?
Besides, even if I asked you to bring clothes here, did I tell you to bring this kind of clothes?"
Jing Nancheng said the 4 words, "this kind of clothes," word by word.
The contempt in his tone was so deep, like a cold arrow, ready to pierce her. Faced with his questioning, Fang Jinnian was speechless. Indeed, she had selfish motives when she bought this set of underwear, and she also admitted that she was not a noble woman. At least when it came to her husband's infidelity, she could not be magnanimous or even tolerant. But she was still wrong. She never dreamed that Jing Nancheng would treat her like this. Maybe he really had no feelings for her, so he was so unscrupulous in front of so many outsiders, humiliating her again and again, and trampling on her dignity again and again. Didn't he someone say this, "If that person doesn't he love you, it's a mistake for you to even appear in front of him"? Probably, that's how Jing Nancheng treats her. Fang Jinnian endured the tearing pain in his chest, erected a strong wall of steel in his heart, and looked at Jing Nancheng calmly. "Have you said enough? If you have, return my clothes to me." She reached out to grab the pants from his hand again. This time, Jing Nancheng did not continue to tease her. He just threw the thing in his hand at her face. The force of his hand was not light, and the tag on the pants scratched the delicate skin on Fang Jinnian's face again, leaving another bloody mark. The people watching the fun nearby held their breath and looked at Fang Jinnian. Just when everyone thought she was going to do something extreme. I only saw her bending down calmly and picking up the scattered clothes on the ground one by one. Everyone was very surprised by her reaction. Even Shi Qin did not expect this. She thought that with Fang Jinnian's personality, she would not be able to stand such humiliation. After all, she was also the daughter of a wealthy family. Among the people present, Jing Nancheng was the only one who showed no trace of surprise on his face. Instead, his face was filled with anger. What annoyed him the most was Fang Jinnian's dead look, always like a stone, without any emotion or feeling. The damn calmness on her face made him feel like he had punched cotton. Also seeing this scene was Lu Jingchen, who had just come out of the ward.
034, support her 3.
Also seeing this scene was Lu Jingchen, who had just come out of the ward. Across the crowd, his clear eyes fell directly on the thin back of the woman squatting on the ground picking up clothes. He didn't know if it was his illusion, but she seemed to have lost a lot of weight. Squatting like this, her graceful back pressed against her shirt, showing off completely. 3 months ago, she seemed to feel much more comfortable than she looks now. I was wondering why the corridor is so lively today. Isn't that the young master of Jing family, Jing Nancheng? Luo Xiyan followed him out of the ward, muttering with his hands in the pockets of his white coat. Lu Jingchen didn't say anything, his deep eyes were fixed on that figure, and there was a dark light in his eyes. Who is the woman next to him? Why does she look so familiar? Could she be the woman I have slept with before? Luo Xiyan said to himself. Lu Jingchen glanced at him, his eyes saying, "You are so narcissistic. Why are you looking at me like that? I'm serious." Chen Ming at the side couldn't help but laugh and explained softly, "Master Luo, the woman next to Jing Nancheng is Shi Qin." Shi Qin? Damn, it's that woman. I was wondering why she looked so familiar. Last time when Mr. Jiu treated us to a meal in France, didn't he bring this woman with him? How come she is having an affair with Jing Nancheng? Luo Xiyan was a little surprised. It seems like there is more than one leg. Lu Jingchen replied to him dimly. Shit, no way, Master Jiu found a bus and got on it. Luo Xiyan said with a twisted face, "No, I have to ask him to come out and see for himself." As he said this, he turned around and went into the ward to call Jiu Chanchuan. Lu Jingchen held him back, "Don't make trouble, he has a broken leg and is feeling depressed." After being reminded by Lu Jingchen, Luo Xiyan also felt that it made sense. He had just been in a car accident yesterday. If he knew that he had boarded a bus now, he would probably have blown up his hospital. It's better not to mess with him. Who is that woman opposite Jing Nancheng? She was humiliated by him like this, but she still endured it in silence. She must have something wrong with her brain. Luo Xiyan hadn't finished speaking yet. Lu Jingchen glared at him fiercely again, with a warning in his eyes, as if he had said something particularly inappropriate. Luo Xiyan was stunned for a moment. What happened? Did he say something wrong again? He subconsciously looked at Chen Ming. Chen Ming came closer and whispered in his ear, "That's Jing Nancheng's wife." Wife? The woman who completed the wedding alone. Chen Ming didn't say anything this time, just nodded. Damn, it's that woman. She's quite awesome. Everyone in Jincheng knew about Fang Jinnian's wedding. Although Luo Xiyan had never met her, he still admired her in his heart. You know, among all the daughters of wealthy families in Jincheng, there is not a single one who is so courageous. They are all a group of delicate young ladies. Apart from squandering money and showing off their wealth, they are just empty shells and are boring to look at. Fang Jinnian is another beautiful sight among the daughters of wealthy families. Although this beautiful sight has been ruined by Jing Nancheng, a blind boy, it still cannot stop others from admiring her, right? Luo Xiyan praised and patted Lu Jingchen on the shoulder. Lu Jingchen ignored him, his face looking a little gloomy. 035, support her for. Luo Xiyan didn't know what was wrong with him, but this third young master Lu was always moody, so he didn't take it to heart. He just turned his head and said to Chen Ming, "I have time tomorrow, I have to go meet this heroine. You can't touch this woman. Put away your wolf claws." He had just finished speaking when Lu Jingchen's warning voice fell, with an unquestionable domineering tone. Luo Xiyan was stunned and wanted to ask why, but seeing that he looked very bad, he gave up. Anyway, he wasn't really interested in this kind of married woman, he just wanted to be friends with her. But why does third young master's expression look so much like his trying to protect someone? Could it be that he is interested in this woman Fang Jinnian? Oh, this bold guess popped up in Luo Xiyan's mind, which shocked him greatly, and he quickly rejected it. No, no, no. Anyone could do it, except the third young master of the Lu family. Not to mention, there are so many beautiful women around him, fat or thin, he can choose any one he wants. With his taste, he will definitely not be interested in a married young woman, and he won't even look at her, not to mention that he has a lover. So, this possibility will never happen. This way. Fang Jinnian picked up the clothes on the ground one by one. Just as he was about to pick up the sexy lingerie and put it in the bag, Jing Nancheng stepped on it. Fortunately, Fang Jinnian reacted quickly and took his hand back, otherwise even his fingers would have been stepped on by him. She raised her head and looked at Jing Nancheng angrily. That's enough. Jing Nancheng lowered his head and met her gaze, his eyes full of mockery. Enough, Fang Jinnian, do you think this is enough? His voice was cold, bone-chillingly cold, as if it had been taken out of an ice cellar. Every word he spoke was as sharp as an ice spike and full of cruelty. Fang Jinnian stood up holding the bag and looked at him calmly. Jing Nancheng, let's talk. I have nothing to talk to you about. Jing Nancheng's words were full of indifference, and as he spoke, he raised his foot to leave. Fang Jinnian hurriedly stopped him, and his hand touched his arm unconsciously. Jing Nancheng shook it off instinctively as if he had touched some bacteria. Fang Jinnian didn't expect him to be so ruthless and was almost thrown to the ground by him. Fortunately, she held onto the wall and stood firm. Over there, Lu Jingchen saw this scene, his chest tightened, his pupils shrank violently, and a large cold light burst out. He raised his foot and tried to come over, but was stopped by the next scene. Fang Jinnian was afraid that Jing Nancheng would leave, so she stopped him again without caring about anything else. This time, she did not touch him again, but said straight to the point, Jing Nancheng, what do you want me to do in order for you to let Yun Meng and her parents go? Hearing her words, Jing Nancheng paused. Fang Jinnian, are you begging me? Yes, I'm begging you. Fang Jinnian answered him without any hesitation. As long as she could get him to release Yun Meng and Kai's father and mother, her dignity really wasn't important at all at this moment. Jing Nancheng snorted and laughed. Does this look like the attitude you should have when asking for help? Just tell me what you want me to do. She would do whatever she could. Whatever I ask you to do, you will do it. Yes. Fang Jinnian nodded heavily. Although she understood better than anyone that Jing Nancheng's next words would most likely embarrass her, she had no choice. Well, that's what you said. I didn't force you. Jing Nancheng did not forget to emphasize. Fang Jinnian just stared at him, his heart beating extremely fast. It wasn't that she wasn't afraid or nervous. She had seen the dangerous undercurrent in Jing Nancheng's eyes. Sure enough, she heard him say, you bought this dress to humiliate Si Qin, right? Well, wear it, kneel down in front of everyone, apologize to her, and I will spare Kai Yun Meng and her daughter. 036, no one can touch her one. Jing Nancheng spoke every word without lowering his voice at all. Everyone present heard his words clearly, including Lu Jingchen and Luo Xiyang. Isn't this kid Jing Nancheng going too far? After all, she is his legally married wife. Isn't he afraid of God's punishment for doing this? Luo Xiyang stood up for Fang Jinnian. Lu Jingchen didn't say anything, his thin lips were tightly pursed, and his face looked quite unsightly. Everyone was whispering to each other, but no one dared to come out to stop it. They just looked at Fang Jinnian with sympathy and broke out in a cold sweat for her. Si Qin, who was standing aside, did not expect Jing Nancheng to protect her so much. She was feeling a little depressed and unhappy about marrying him, but at this moment, all of that had completely disappeared. On her face was a triumphant smile of a winner, and her eyes and eyebrows were full of smugness, as if she had won the whole world. Fang Jinnian saw the provocative smile on Si Qin's face and felt bitter. She had thought of thousands of possibilities of being humiliated, but this was the only one she hadn't thought of. She looked at the man in front of her, the man she had loved silently in her heart for 4 years. At this moment, it was as if she had never known him. Seeing that she didn't respond, Jing Nancheng spoke again. Why can't you do it? Jing Nancheng, if I really do this, will you let? Enough. Lu Jingchen uttered these 2 words from between his teeth. Each word was loud and clear, carrying a deterrent force that could not be ignored. Fang Jinnian was startled. Why did this voice sound so familiar? I felt like I had heard it somewhere before. Jing Nancheng was also stunned for a moment, and recognized the person in front of him at a glance. His brows couldn't help but frown. Why was Lu Jingchen here? What was his relationship with this woman Fang Jinnian? His eyes roamed over the 2 people's clasped hands and fell on Jinnian again, unconsciously adding a bit of sharpness. Young Master Lu, what a coincidence. I didn't expect to meet you here. Jing Nancheng stretched out his hand and greeted him. Lu Jingchen, however, was in a bad mood. He did not extend his hand, but only glanced sideways at the dazed woman beside him. Only then did he see her shocking face, and his eyes suddenly dimmed. His fingers tightened a little,
and after a while, he looked away, regained his normal expression, and met Jing Nancheng's gaze. I often hear my father mention young Master Jing. Today, I am fortunate to have the honor to see young Master Jing's true appearance. It is an honor for me, Lu. However, next time my father asks me to meet him, I think I will think about it carefully. Lu Jingchen's words were always humble and gentle, but Jing Nancheng could hear the threat in his words at once. 037, no one can touch her too. Jing Nancheng knew how much his father wanted to cooperate with Lu, but Jing had extended an olive branch many times, but was rejected by Lu. But just yesterday afternoon, his assistant called him and said that Lu was interested in cooperating with him. Hearing Lu Jingchen's words again, Jing Nancheng's heart suddenly became alarmed. Third young master, there may be some misunderstanding here. Jing Nancheng hurried to explain, but before he could finish the rest of the words, he was interrupted by Lu Jingchen. Really? I don't think so. You seem to have a deep prejudice against this young lady. As the saying goes, forgive others when you can. I wonder if Master Jing can spare her for my sake. Lu Jingchen's tone was always neither hurried nor slow, but every word he said was so powerful that people dared not refute it at all. Maybe this is what is called aura. Jing Nancheng was choked by Lu Jingchen's question and didn't know how to answer for a moment. He was unwilling to let Fang Jinnian go just like that. If he didn't agree, it would mean he had offended Lu Jingchen, and he wouldn't be able to get the cooperation. It would not be worth it for a woman like Fang Jinnian. Master Jing, are you in a difficult situation? Seeing that he was slow to answer, Lu Jingchen asked back. Of course not. Then I'll take that as your agreement. Thank you. Lu Jingchen nodded slightly towards Jing Nancheng, and without staying any longer, he pulled Fang Jinnian and was about to leave. Fang Jinnian came back to her senses after he pulled her. She looked at the strange man who was pulling her with her eyes wide open. She must have heard it wrong just now. Jing Nancheng actually agreed to let her go. Thinking of something, she shook her hands. Lu Jingchen stopped and looked back at her. Without letting go of her hand, he asked her with his eyes, is there anything else? Fang Jinnian looked at Jing Nancheng. Jing Nancheng, don't forget what you promised me just now, Yun Meng and his father will be fine. Jing Nancheng gritted his teeth secretly and was about to explain that she was his wife. But at this moment, Shi Xichin's arm was still hanging on his arm. Lu Jingchen must have seen everything that happened before. From his tone, he seemed to be unaware that the woman he was holding was his wife. If he explained that Fang Jinnian was his wife at this moment, I'm afraid his impression of the Jing family would be even worse. Jing Nancheng could only swallow his anger silently, looked into Fang Jinnian's eyes, and replied with 2 words reluctantly, of course. After getting his assurance, Fang Jinnian finally felt relieved. Although Jing Nancheng's character is not very good, fortunately, he still keeps his word. Although I don't know the identity of this man, I can see that Jing Nancheng is a little afraid of him. It turned out that in addition to Jing Guopeng, there were other people in Jing Nancheng who were afraid of him. Fang Jinnian had always thought that in Jincheng, there was no one that Jing Nancheng was afraid of, and he was the only one who could act domineeringly. For some reason, she became curious about the man who saved him. Lu Jingchen took Fang Jinnian away. Before leaving, he turned his head and glanced at Shi Xichin, then said to Jing Nancheng, I heard that Master Jing got married not long ago. I guess this is your wife. She is a good match for Mr. Jing. I wish you two a happy marriage. Lu Jingchen said the last 2 sentences with a smile. 038, the third young master of the Lu family. Lu Jingchen said the last 2 sentences with a smile. When Jing Nancheng and Shi Xichin listened, their faces froze and an unprecedented embarrassment appeared on their faces. Only Luo Xiyang and Chen Ming understood the true meaning of these 2 sentences. Luo Xiyang was shocked to see Lu Jingchen taking Fang Jinnian away from the center of the storm. He patted Chen Ming's arm and said, Chen Ming, pinch me, am I seeing things? When did your third master become so loving? He actually saved a beautiful girl. Does he know that woman? Chen Ming looked at their backs, thinking, and suddenly remembered the morning 3 months ago in their hotel when the third young master asked him to check this woman. Could it be that the 2 of them? Chen Ming realized something and was shocked. Seeing him in a daze, Luo Xiyang pinched his hand and said, What are you looking at? You look like you've lost your soul. I'm asking you a question. Chen Ming's face was twisted in pain, but young Master Luo's attack was still as heavy-handed as ever. I don't know, I probably don't know him. Chen Ming replied randomly. I think so. Luo Xiyang muttered, and put his hand on Chen Ming's shoulder. I didn't expect that your third master is not only smart, but also a good actor. Of course, an all-rounder. Chen Ming raised his lips proudly, feeling proud of it. Luo Xiyang snorted, I didn't realize you were so good at protecting your master. Chen Ming chuckled twice, and the two of them quickened their pace to keep up with Lu Jingchen. Everyone looked at the backs of Lu Jingchen and Fang Jinnian as they left, and couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. The nurses' station was also in an uproar. Wow, this man is so handsome. Who is he? A young nurse stared at Lu Jingchen's back with red eyes and asked her colleagues around her in a crazy way. You don't know him yet? Her colleagues looked at her in surprise, as if she was from outer space. The young nurse looked confused. Is he a famous person? The third young master of the Lu family, the man with the most connections and the best business acumen in the Lu family, is also the number one rival of the eldest son of the Lu family, Lu Binsheng, for the family inheritance. The third young master Lu returned to China at the age of 18 to take over the Lu's hotel industry. In just 1 year, he brought the hotel back to life from the brink of bankruptcy and made Yutai a global 7-star international hotel chain. Another nurse interrupted. Oh my god, he is the third master Lu, Lu Jingchen, who is frequently featured in international financial weekly magazines and is well known both at home and abroad. The young nurse was terrified. The Lu family is a prestigious family in Jincheng and internationally. Its businesses cover almost all walks of life around the world, so the Lu family is also a family with a very large root system. Although Lu Jingchen's name frequently appears on the headlines of financial news in various countries, he rarely appears in public and is quite low-key. Therefore, it is not surprising that many people have only heard of his name but have never seen him in person. Compared to his calmness, the eldest son of the Lu family, Lu Binsheng, seems to be much more high-profile. Although he also appears in financial news, he also frequently makes entertainment headlines. But after all, he is the eldest son of the 18th generation of the Lu family, and he still has some status and power in the Lu family. However, none of his brothers and sisters are vegetarians, especially Lu Jingchen, so it is not so easy for him to get the position of heir to the Lu family. Moreover, it is said that in recent years, Lu Jingchen's popularity has gradually overshadowed him, and the two brothers have been fighting fiercely overtly and covertly. Young Master Lu is a hero who saves the beauty. Could it be that he knows Mrs. Jing? From the looks of it, it seems that they have a rather special relationship. The young nurse sighed with envy as she looked at the couple walking away. She did not lower her voice, and Jing Nancheng on the other side heard everything she said. His brows were twisted into a shape of a character, and his face was as dark as if it had been painted with a layer of green paint. A nurse noticed Jing Nancheng's strangeness and poked the young nurse with her hand. Don't look at it anymore, everyone has left. Stop drooling and start working. The young nurse also saw Jing Nancheng's scary face, said oh, took the medical record and went to make rounds. It was not until he reached the elevator that Fang Jinnian came to his senses. Lu Jingchen's hand was still on her wrist. She struggled slightly, and Lu Jingchen realized that his hand was still holding hers, and his fingers loosened one by one. Although his hands were loosened, he still felt a burning sensation on his wrists. For some reason, when he led her all the way here, she felt a sense of security she had never felt before. Fang Jinnian felt that she must have been hurt too deeply by Jing Nancheng, so she had such a strange feeling towards the man who saved her. Thank you for saving me just now. Because she was too embarrassed, she didn't dare to look up at him. She just lowered her head and thanked him sincerely. She was glad that this man did not stand idly by but rescued her. Otherwise, she really couldn't imagine what she would have become at this moment. This is what I should do. Lu Jingchen replied to her indifferently, his voice low and melodious, as pleasant as a cello. Perhaps fearing that she would misunderstand, he added, I will do the same thing no matter who is there today. Hearing what he said, Fang Jinnian felt a lump in his nose and inexplicably wanted to cry. She tried hard to suppress the pain and fragility in her chest, not wanting to embarrass herself in front of this strange man again. The elevator hadn't come down yet, and the two of them just stood quietly in front of it. Fang Jinnian didn't know what to say. Lu Jingchen was also a man of few words, especially with people he wasn't familiar with. After a long while, he finally broke the silence. The wound on your face was also caused by him. R. Because it was so sudden, Fang Jinnian was a little confused and subconsciously glanced sideways at him. It was the perfect time of the morning when the sun was shining brightly. Bright light poured in through the window at the end of the corridor, some of it falling on the man's shoulder. Under the dazzling halo, Fang Jinnian's eyes widened. She has never been a woman who is easily infatuated with men. In fact, she doesn't have much feeling for handsome guys. On the contrary, Yunmeng quite likes watching these. 039, wrong person. Jing Nancheng is considered a good-looking man in Jincheng, but compared to the man in front of him, he is far inferior. It's not the facial features that are inferior, but the aura, the kind of temperament that radiates from the inside out. Feeling her gaze, Lu Jingchen turned his head and looked at her. Just now, he only took a glance and didn't see clearly how serious the injuries on her face were. But now, with this posture, he could see the injuries on her face clearly at a glance. Hawk Falcon frowned, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. "Does it hurt?" he asked in a deep voice. Fang Jinnian came back to his senses, a trace of embarrassment flashed across his face, and he quickly lowered his head and shook his head. "It's okay, it doesn't hurt. It would be strange if it didn't hurt. Half of my face is swollen." Lu Jingchen didn't ask any more questions. At this moment, the elevator arrived. He slightly turned sideways and let her go in first like a gentleman. "Thank you." Fang Jinnian was touched by his thoughtfulness and generosity. As soon as the two of them walked in, they heard Luo Xiyan's voice coming from outside. Wait a minute, wait a minute." He and Chen Ming ran in breathlessly. "Hi, beauty, I'm the third young master's friend." Luo Xiyan stepped in and greeted Fang Jinnian first. He stretched out his hand to shake hers, but just as he did so, he heard a slight snap and was ruthlessly slapped back by Lu Jingchen. "He hit me hard and the back of my hand turned red." Luo Xiyan looked at him aggrievedly, but Lu Jingchen only gave him a warning look. When he met his dangerous eyes, their complaints and grumbles at the corner of Luo Xiyan's mouth were stuck and he could only swallow them back. "You can mess with anyone except young Master Lu. Because if you make him angry, he will clear out the hospital in a minute, and then give him a bag of ammunition and let him kill himself. This is by no means an exaggeration." Luo Xiyan kept his distance from Fang Jinnian obediently. Fang Jinnian then noticed their name, Third Young Master. Could he be the one who got me out yesterday? The third young master of the Lu family. Fang Jinnian tilted her head and glanced at the man beside her, but he was staring straight ahead with a calm expression. She moved her lips, wanting to ask something, but was afraid that she had made a mistake and caused a misunderstanding. After all, this was only the first time she and he met. Not to mention that he didn't know that she was detained at the police station yesterday, and he had no reason to rescue her. But judging from the reaction of the police chief yesterday, that man must be a big shot. The aura of the man beside him was not like that of an ordinary person, and coincidentally, his name was Young Master Lu. Fang Jinnian decided to give it a try, that. Hearing her voice, Lu Jingchen lowered his eyes and looked at her. "I want to ask, were you the one who rescued me from the police station yesterday?" Fang Jinnian asked nervously. Luo Xiyan, who was standing by, was startled when he heard the word police station. "So it was you at the police station yesterday." "It's not me, you got the wrong person." Before Luo Xiyan could finish his words, he was interrupted by Lu Jingchen. Chen Ming also pulled on the hem of Luo Xiyan's clothes. Luo Xiyang immediately understood and kept silent. He just looked at Fang Jinnian, then at Lu Jingchen, and his eyes moved back and forth between the two of them for several times. I thought to myself that there must be some unspeakable secret between these two people. Otherwise, with the third young master's personality of being afraid of trouble, how could he save her again and again? This is unbelievable. Fang Jinnian felt a little relieved when she heard Luo Xiyang's words, but Lu Jingchen's answer immediately extinguished her hope. He didn't look like he was lying. Maybe it really is someone else. Fang Jinnian didn't ask any further questions. At this time, the elevator stopped on the 8th floor. Fang Jinnian thought someone was going to come up, so she subconsciously stood a little further inside. However, she did not realize that she was taking the VVIP passenger elevator, and there were usually very few crowded people coming up. The door opened and there was no one standing outside. She was still a little puzzled when she heard Lu Jingchen's voice rising in the elevator. "Take her to get the wound on her face treated." He said this to Luo Xiyang. They were just joking,
and Fang Jinnian had been trying to hide the wound on her face, so Luo Xiyang hadn't noticed it. When Lu Jingchen reminded him of this, he looked over and was shocked. Oh my god, who is so cruel? Such a good face was beaten into this state. It made even a hard-hearted man like him feel a little sad. Don't bother, I can handle it myself when I get home. Fang Jinnian declined. Luo Xiyang wanted to reach out to pull her, but thinking of Lu Jingchen's eyes, he withdrew his hand awkwardly and said, Don't worry, I have good skills, I guarantee you won't feel any pain, you can go back and take care of it yourself. If you use the medicine improperly, you will be left with scars and your pretty face will be ruined. What's more, it's my duty to save the dying and the wounded, so don't feel burdened. Luo Xiyang has always been very eloquent. Fang Jinnian looked at him somewhat embarrassedly. Go ahead, his medical skills are pretty good. Lu Jingchen said from the side. Don't hesitate, let's go. Luo Xiyang stood outside the elevator and called her. Fang Jinnian thought about it and followed him out. This time, Lu Jingchen did not follow him out. He just said goodbye to Luo Xiyang and said, I'm leaving first. I'll leave her to you. Don't worry, I guarantee that I will complete the task with honor. Luo Xiyang promised, patting his chest. Lu Jingchen glanced at Fang Jinnian, didn't say much, and left. Lo Xian's office. While treating Fang Jinnian's wound, he chatted with her. Miss Fang, are you acquainted with the third young master? Fang Jinnian was stunned for a moment and shook his head. No. Really? Luo Xiyang looked at her with an inquiring look, somewhat unconvinced. Fang Jinnian didn't understand why he asked that, and only said, Today is also the first time I interacted with him. That's strange, is it really that the third young master suddenly became kind-hearted? But, the way the third young master looked at her was obviously quite different. Luo Xiyang couldn't figure it out for a moment, but he didn't ask any more questions. After treating her wound, he asked his assistant to bring in a tube of ointment. He handed it to Fang Jinnian. This is something I developed myself. It's very effective for reducing swelling on scratches like this. You can't buy it outside. Remember to apply it regularly when you go back. It should be fine tomorrow. Thank you. How much is it? I'll give you the money. Fang Jinnian took the ointment and wanted to pay. Luo Xiyang stopped her and said with a smile, Just consider it a favor I did. I will go and ask for the debt from the third young master. Luo Xiyang smiled with ill intention. However, Fang Jinnian didn't understand what he meant. Seeing that he was determined not to accept it, she had no choice but to give up. She thanked him several times and left without staying any longer. After leaving the hospital, Fang Jinnian planned to go to Kai's house to see Kai's mother. I was just about to call her and tell her that the matter was resolved. As soon as I took out my cell phone, a call came in. 040, urging marriage. It's Kai Yunmeng. Fang Jinnian quickly picked up the phone. Yunmeng. Jinnian, I'm fine, where are you? I just got out of the hospital. Hearing the word hospital, Kai Yunmeng was startled and asked subconsciously, What's wrong with you? Did you get angry yesterday? What's wrong with the baby? No, don't worry, I'm fine, I'll pick you up. No, I just called my mom and I'm on my way home now. I'm just about to go to your house, so how about we meet downstairs? Okay, be careful. Yeah, okay. After hanging up the phone, Fang Jinnian hailed a taxi on the side of the road and went to Kai's house. Kai Yunmeng's parents teach at a key high school in the city and now live in the teacher's apartment allocated by the school. Soon, Fang Jinnian arrived at the Kai family. From a distance, I saw Kai Yunmeng waiting downstairs. She paid the fare and got off the car. Jinnian, are you okay? Kai Yunmeng ran over to pick her up. When she saw the wound on her face, she screamed in shock, Oh my god, what happened to your face? I'm fine. Fang Jinnian quickly turned his face away, not wanting her to see it, but the wound on his face was impossible to hide. Was it Jing Nancheng who beat you? Kai Yunmeng asked angrily. The angry expression on her face seemed like she was going to settle the score with Jing Nancheng again. Fang Jinnian quickly held her back, not wanting to cause any more accidents. Yunmeng, it's not him. It really isn't him this time. Who is that? Tell me who hurt me. He was so violent. Is he still a human being? What's more, she is pregnant now. Fang Jinnian knew that he couldn't hide it, so he had to tell the truth. It's my mother-in-law.
Hearing that it was Song Shuqiu, Kai Yunmeng became even angrier. Is this woman crazy? Why did she hit you? Jinnian, let's go and find her to argue. Yunmeng, don't, it's all over. I'm really fine.
Fang Jinnian comforted her. He didn't want to make things worse and just wanted to keep things peaceful. In this matter, she was wrong in the first place, and she was in the wrong. Even if she went to Song Shuqiu to argue, she would be the only one who would be embarrassed in the end. Moreover, now, she and Jing Nancheng had not divorced yet, and she was still the daughter-in-law of the Jing family. No matter how wrong her mother-in-law was, she could only endure it. In fact, what she was more afraid of was that she would bring more trouble to Yunmeng. This time she was lucky and someone came to her rescue, so she escaped the danger. But next time, she was really not sure if she would be so lucky again. Kai Yunmeng looked at the worry in Fang Jinnian's eyes and she knew that she was thinking about herself again. But as a good friend, how could I not feel heartbroken when I saw her being beaten like this? Don't worry about me. But you, those policemen didn't do anything to you, did they? Fang Jinnian changed the subject and looked her up and down worriedly. Fortunately, he didn't see any signs of injury. Don't worry, those policemen didn't do anything to me. Instead, they were quite polite to me. Kai Yunmeng said. After hearing her words, Fang Jinnian's heart finally settled down. Yunmeng, it's all my fault that you and Father Kai have suffered so much. Fang Jinnian looked apologetic. Stop, don't take the blame on yourself. It's me who got you involved. I hope Jing Nancheng didn't do anything to you. When Kai Yunmeng was in the police station, she was always worried that she would be bullied by Jing Nancheng. Sure enough, as she expected, she was not only bullied, but also bullied very badly. No, he didn't do anything to me. Fang Jinnian didn't want to tell her what happened before, so he just lied. Really? Kai Yunmeng didn't believe it. With Jing Nancheng's personality, how could he miss such a good opportunity to humiliate her? Moreover, he didn't even let her go, let alone Jinnian. Really, don't worry about me. By the way, I told Mother Kai that you didn't answer her call because your phone ran out of battery due to a business trip. You must not let the secret out later. Fang Jinnian warned Kai Yunmeng. Good. Is Father Kai back? Fang Jinnian was about to call, but then he thought, Yunmeng had come out, so Father Kai should be fine, so he didn't call, because he was going to come anyway. My mother called me earlier and told me that she has returned. That's good. Oh, and when your parents ask about the wound on my face later, just say it was an allergy and I scratched it myself. Fang Jinnian didn't want to worry his parents. Kai Yunmeng rolled her eyes at her in annoyance and said, I think only you will believe these excuses. Fang Jinnian stuck out his tongue in embarrassment. Although Father Kai was taken away for investigation, fortunately those people did not do anything to him and did not make a big fuss, so when Father Kai came back, he was in good spirits. Kai Yunmeng did not hide the fact that Fang Jinnian was pregnant from her parents, but she also did not tell them who the child was. When Mr. and Mrs. Kai heard the news, they were extremely happy. They only thought that the child was from Jing Nancheng. Kai Yunmeng and Fang Jinnian didn't explain, leaving the two elders to misunderstand. Menga, look, everyone gets married and has children every year, but you are still single. How can you be ashamed? Mother Kai came out of the kitchen with the cut watermelon and started lecturing again. Kai Yunmeng sat on the sofa, eating watermelon, and felt a headache. Mom, could you please stop talking about this every time I come back? It's really annoying. I don't want to read. Tell me how old you are now. Not to mention Nyan Nyan, the daughter of teacher Wang downstairs, is 2 years younger than you. She brought a boyfriend home a few days ago. It is said that they will get married by the end of the year. I don't want you to get married, but at least you can give me and your dad some hope. At least you can bring a man home. You always come alone, and I am too embarrassed to tell others when they ask me. I don't understand. What's there to be embarrassed about? How old am I? I'm only 24. Besides, finding a man is not like buying vegetables in the market where you can buy them whenever you want. If I really just grab a man for you, would you be happy? If you are, I will go grab one for you right now. Every time she came back, they would discuss this matter, making her sound as if no one wanted her in this life and she would never get married. You deliberately want to piss me off to death, right? Mother Kai was a little irritated. Seeing that the situation was not right,
Fang Jinnian hurried over to comfort her. Aunt, don't worry, Yunmeng will find her. She will look for one. She always uses this sentence to brush me off every time she comes back. It's been so long, but I haven't seen her take any action. I see, she doesn't want to get married at all. Kai's mother said angrily. What's so good about getting married? Kai Yunmeng muttered to the side. She was already a little afraid of marriage, and when she saw Jinnian's current life, she had even less idea. Look at what she said. Mother Kai was so angry that her eyes turned red, and she almost hit someone. 041, Mother S transformation. Fang Jinnian quickly kicked Kai Yunmeng, signaling her to stop talking. Father Kai at the side also spoke at the right time. Wife, I just remembered that there is not much food at home. The two children have just come back. Let's go to the supermarket to buy some food they like. By the way, we can go to the vegetable market and buy some fresh fish to stew some soup for Nian. She has lost a lot of weight after not seeing her for a while. Hearing what Kai's father said, Fang Jinnian felt warm in his heart. He couldn't help but think of his father who was still lying on the hospital bed, and his eyes suddenly became moist. She couldn't help but feel sad and said to Father Kai, Dad Kai, don't bother. What's the trouble? You're pregnant now, so you need to nourish yourself. Kai Yunmeng continued, and then looked at her father coquettishly. Dad, I want to eat shrimp. Don't even think about it. Before Mr. Kai could say anything, Mrs. Kai stood up from the sofa angrily and answered her first. She was so angry that she glared at her fiercely. Kai Yunmeng pursed his lips, made a face, and said no more. But I knew in my heart that my mother had a sharp tongue but a soft heart, and she would definitely buy some prawns back soon. Looking at the mother and daughter bickering, Fang Jinnian felt envious. She also hoped that her mother would keep talking to her about her lifelong affairs. However, she had never experienced such happiness. She will always remember that when she was 8 years old, she and her brother were playing in the back garden of their home. She accidentally fell off the swing and broke her leg. She bled a lot, which scared her mother and rushed her to the hospital. Fortunately, she was sent to the hospital in time and was not seriously injured. But from then on, her mother's attitude towards her changed 180 degrees. She was no longer caring and concerned about her, and even no longer said sweet words like, my baby, my dear. Even during the time she was in the hospital, Li Suling did not show up, and it was the nanny at home who took care of her. After returning home, Li Suling didn't want to see her for a long time. Fang Jinnian didn't know what was going on, nor did she know if she had done something wrong to make her mother unhappy. But no matter how she tried to please her mother, Li Suling seemed like a different person. She was either silent or looked at her coldly. In the next 10 years, all Fang Jinnian could remember was Li Suling's verbal abuse and cold eyes. Even when she married Jing Nancheng, Li Suling just called her home without any discussion. She said to her directly, the Jing family has taken a fancy to you. The wedding will be held in a month. Be prepared. Tomorrow the driver of the Jing family will pick you up to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to complete the formalities. With just these one sentence, she married herself. She had never been unfamiliar with the Jing family, but she had never thought that one day she would marry into the family, and in this way. In fact, she agreed at that time, on the one hand for the Fang family, and on the other hand, she had her own selfish motives. Therefore, the current situation is all her own choice and she cannot blame anyone else. However, up to now, Fang Jinnian still didn't know what she had done wrong to make her mother hate her so much and even want to kick her out of the house. 042, the man I can't forget. Mr. and Mrs. Kai went out to buy groceries, leaving only Fang Jinnian and Kai Yunmeng at home, sitting on the sofa in the living room. Yunmeng, you still can't forget that man. Fang Jinnian turned sideways, resting his head with one hand, looked at Kai Yunmeng seriously and asked. Kai Yunmeng's hand that was changing the channel hesitated for a moment. He didn't look at Fang Jinnian and just chuckled, who is it? Don't play dumb in front of me. You know who I'm talking about. Fang Jinnian reached out and snatched the remote control from her hand and turned off the TV. For a moment, the room was completely quiet, with only the sound of the fan fanning gently. Are you still waiting for him? That's why you don't find a boyfriend. Seeing that she didn't speak, Fang Jinnian asked again. Kai Yunmeng sat there, not moving at all, his eyes still fixed on the TV screen, and gradually a layer of mist covered his eyes. Fang Jinnian felt a pain in his heart when he saw her like this. He leaned over and held her hand,
only to be shocked to find that her hand was even colder than ice.
Yunmeng, don't be silly. He's gone and he won't come back.
But he said he would never leave me. As soon as she opened her mouth, tears fell from the corners of her eyes. So many years have passed, and she thought she was better, at least she could talk about him in front of others, but she still couldn't get out of that shadow. Whenever she thought of that person, even if she just saw his name, without even calling out his name, her emotions would easily collapse. He said he would not leave you, but did he do it? He left you quietly for 4 years. If he really cared about your feelings, he would not hide from you like this. He knew you were looking for him and waiting for him.
Give up, Yunmeng.
This kind of man is really not worth your youth and waiting for him. Jinnian, he must be hiding something from me, so he's avoiding me.
Yunmeng, how long are you going to deceive yourself? Do you really think there are so many surprises in this world? No, in love there is only love and not love.
He doesn't love you, so he doesn't care about your sorrow or joy.
He is a cowardly man.
He is ashamed of your love for him, so he ran away irresponsibly.
Jinnian, I don't want to listen, stop talking, I beg you.
When the festering scar was revealed again, she was still unable to bear the pain. Fang Jinnian looked at the woman in front of him who was crying like rain, and his heart felt like a dagger was stirring fiercely. Why, not only is her marriage unhappy, but even Yunmeng's love life has to be so bumpy.
Yunmeng, promise me that you will slowly try to forget him, okay?
Even for the sake of Kai's father and mother, don't torture yourself anymore.
4 years is enough. Jinnian, I can't forget you. I really can. I've tried.
But as soon as I close my eyes, I can see his face lingering in my mind. That feeling is like it has penetrated into my bones and blood. I really can't do it.
Kai Yunmeng murmured weakly.
Fang Jinnian could clearly feel the feeling she was talking about. Looking at Kai Yunmeng like this, she didn't know how to persuade her. For some things, no matter how much others say, it is useless. The person who tied the bell must untie it.
No one can help except herself. 043, so-called family.
Fang Jinnian stayed at the Kai family's house for a whole day and only left home with Kai Yunmeng after dinner. Kai's mother asked the two of them to stay at her house for one night, but Kai Yunmeng was afraid of her mother's nagging and did not stay. Father and Mother Kai sent the two out of the community, and reminded them to be careful on their way back. They also specially gave Fang Jinnian some local eggs and chickens that their family bought from the countryside so that she could get more nutrition. Kai Yunmeng looked at the concerned expression on her mother's face and joked, "Mom, you are too partial. We are both daughters.
Jinnian can't carry all the bags, but look at me.
I don't have a single hair on my head. You are a single person, what do you want all these for? You have to find me a boyfriend. Don't talk about these things. I will pick the stars and the moon in the sky for you." Kai's mother deliberately interrupted her. Look, you keep talking about finding a boyfriend. It's impossible to communicate with you." Kai Yunmeng was speechless. "Dad, we're leaving first. Bye. We'll come back to see you another day." Kai Yunmeng took the things from Jinnian's hand and quickly got ready to leave. If she stayed any longer, her mother might start urging her to get married again at the gate of the community, so it was better to leave. Seeing her daughter running faster than a rabbit, Mother Kai stamped her feet in anger. "Kai Jungwo, tell me about your daughter too." With no place to vent her anger, Kai's mother could only speak unhappily to her husband beside her. Father Kai, who was always good-tempered, comforted her with a smile. Okay, I will definitely talk to her nicely next time I come back. It's always the same thing you say. I've never heard you say it before. Every time, I play the bad guy." The father and daughter are exactly the same, Kai's mother complained. Father Kai didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "My dear, my children and grandchildren will have their own blessings. Our daughter is so beautiful, it's not like no one wants her. Why are you in such a hurry? You have a good attitude and are not in a hurry. I think if she becomes an old girl and stays at home in the future, you won't be in a hurry. Look at what you said." Kai's mother snorted and turned her back, too lazy to argue with him anymore. Father Kai looked helpless. Fang Jinnian looked at the old couple bickering and felt that they were extremely loving. "Dad and Mom Kai, I'm leaving first. Thank you for your hard work today. I'll come back to see you another day." Kai Yunmeng had already left, and Fang Jinnian also said goodbye. Okay, next time when Dad Kai is free, let him go to the countryside and buy 2 black chickens. I'll stew them and ask you to come and eat them.
Mother Kai said affectionately, holding Fang Jinnian's hand.
She really treats Fang Jinnian as her own daughter. Fang Jinnian was deeply touched. Mother Kai, no need to trouble you. This is not a problem.
Now that you're pregnant, you have to be extra careful about everything. Don't do any heavy work, okay?
If you want to eat something, call Mother Kai and she will make it for you. Child, don't treat yourself badly. Even if Jinnian didn't say it, Mother Kai could clearly feel what kind of life she led. She looked at the half of her face that had not yet subsided in pain. She asked nothing and said nothing. She just held her hand tightly. Everything was said without words. Fang Jinnian knew what she was going to say and nodded. I will take good care of myself, don't worry. Having said that, she turned and left. Tears, however, fell like rain the moment she turned around. In this world, the only family who is still willing to treat her sincerely may be the Kai family. On their way back to the apartment with Kai Yunmeng, Fang Jinnian received a call from Liu's mother.
Madam, where are you now?
Aunt Liu asked cautiously. Fang Jinnian could hear the caution and anxiety in her tone. What's wrong, Aunt Liu?
044, being called back to the Jing family.
Fang Jinnian could hear the caution and anxiety in her tone. What's wrong, Aunt Liu?
Young master is back. Madam asked you to go home quickly.
Aunt Liu emphasized the word madam. The scene that happened yesterday was still clearly in her mind. Not wanting to repeat the tragedy, she whispered, Madam, please come back soon.
Jing Nancheng was discharged from the hospital so soon.
Fang Jinnian was a little surprised. He hesitated for a moment, but didn't want to cause any trouble to Liu Mar, so he replied, Okay, I'll be right back. Do you need to send a driver to pick you up? Mother Liu asked, feeling relieved when she heard her reply immediately.
No, I'll take a taxi back by myself.
Well, be careful on your way.
Well, I'm hanging up.
After hanging up the phone with Liu Mar, Fang Jinnian asked the driver to pull over. What's wrong? Who's calling? Kai Yunmeng looked at her in confusion. Mother Liu, she said Jing Nancheng is back and asked me to go back. Why did he ask you to go back? I'll go with you. Kai Yunmeng was afraid that she would be bullied by the Jing family. Fang Jinnian handed the things that Kai's mother gave her to Kai Yunmeng and patted her hands. Don't worry, they won't do anything to me. My father-in-law is still at home. You can take these back. This is what my mother gave you. Isn't it the same whether you give it to me or to you? Bringing these things back to the Jing family would probably be wasted.
Not to mention that in the Jing family, all food is strictly controlled by the chef.
Moreover, someone as particular as Song Shuqiu would definitely not let her bring these things in. As he said that, the driver pulled the car over to the side of the road. Fang Jinnian didn't stay long. Yunmeng, I'm leaving first. Be careful when you go back. Why are you going back? Fang Jinnian had already gotten out of the car, and Kai Yunmeng rolled down the window and asked her. I'll take a taxi back. Just use this one. I'll take you there first, and then I'll take me back. Goodbye, we're not going the same way, so let's save the trouble. It's very convenient to take a taxi anyway. Go ahead, I'll call you when I get home. As he was speaking, an empty taxi came over. Fang Jinnian waved, and the driver turned. Jinnian, you must be careful. Remember to call me if anything happens. Kai Yunmeng reminded him worriedly. I know, don't worry. Fang Jinnian got into the taxi and waved to her. At this time, it was the evening rush hour, there was some traffic jam on the road, and cars were stopping and starting. Fang Jinnian didn't seem to be very anxious. He just leaned in the back seat, staring blankly at the street lights outside the window that lit up one after another. Maybe I've experienced too much in the past 2 days, so it doesn't matter now. It was an hour later when she returned to the Jing family. She paid the fare and got out of the car. Mother Liu, who had been waiting at the door, came to greet her. Madam, you're finally back. Aunt Liu looked terrified. Fang Jinnian patted her hands, indicating that everything was fine. Have you had dinner? Asked Liu's mother. Have eaten. Madam Liu followed Fang Jinnian inside, and whispered beside her, Madam, the madam and the young master are not in a good mood. Don't argue with them and just be patient when they say something. Mother Liu, I understand. Thank you. Mother Liu looked at her and sighed softly with helplessness and heartache. As soon as Fang Jinnian entered the room, he felt an extremely low air flow in the room. 045, doubt. Jing Nancheng and Song Shuqiu were both sitting on the sofa in the living room, their faces covered with a layer of frost. Jing Qianqian was rarely seen, and no one knew where she had gone. My father-in-law Jing Guopeng usually watches the news in the living room at this time, but he was not there today.
Madam, Master, and Madam are back,
Aunt Liu reported softly. Hearing their voice, Jing Nancheng and Song Shuqiu looked towards the door. When they saw Fang Jinnian's figure, Jing Nancheng's cold eyes suddenly became sharper. There was still gauze on his forehead. Song Shuqiu was holding a teacup in her hand. When she saw Fang Jinnian, she put the cup heavily on the coffee table, making a crisp bang. Fang Jinnian, you still remember to come back.
I thought you were out fooling around with some weird guy today and forgot the time,
Song Shuqiu said sarcastically. Fang Jinnian clenched his fingers, without looking at them, and said, nothing, I'll go upstairs. As she spoke, she walked upstairs.
Fang Jinnian, stop.
Jing Nancheng suddenly shouted and stood up from the sofa. Fang Jinnian did not stop, but continued to walk upstairs.
Now, she really didn't want to face Jing Nancheng at all.
She was tired, both physically and mentally.
Fang Jinnian, are you deaf?
I told you to stop. Fang Jinnian had just taken a few steps when her arm was pulled from behind by a strong force. It was so sudden that her whole body trembled and she almost fell down the stairs. She subconsciously protected her lower abdomen with one hand and held the armrest with the other, but her body still leaned back and her back hit the armrest heavily. She frowned in pain and her face turned pale. Jing Nancheng looked at her cautious appearance, especially her hands protecting her lower abdomen. The anger that had been pent up in his heart suddenly burst out. He rushed over and grabbed her neck with his big hand. Fang Jinnian was pressed hard against the armrest by him, and it became difficult for her to breathe. She raised her hand to pry his fingers apart, but before she could raise her hand, his questioning with monstrous anger had already fallen into her ears. Fang Jinnian, I really underestimated you. I didn't expect that you could even hook up with someone like third young Master Lu. This bastard in your belly must be his. Fang Jinnian's eyes widened at his insult. She looked at the man in front of her who looked like an angry lion in disbelief. Jing Nancheng, stop spitting blood at me. She tried hard to squeeze these words out of her throat, not wanting to involve innocent people in their marriage. Jing Nancheng snorted coldly, I am slandering you, and you dare to say that you don't have a bastard in your belly. Jing Nancheng bit the word, bastard, extremely hard, and it landed on Fang Jinnian like two sharp claws, trying to peel off her bones, blood, skin and flesh. As he said this, he lowered his head to glance at her belly which had not yet risen. His cold eyes, as cold as an arrow, looked as if he wanted to stab the baby in her belly to death. When Fang Jinnian saw the destructive look in his eyes trembled and his hands almost instinctively protected his lower abdomen. Although this child was an accident, he was her own flesh and blood, and she couldn't let him get hurt or suffer any accident. Jing Nancheng did not lower his voice at all when he spoke, so that all the servants in the hall heard his word, bastard, clearly, including Liu Mar, who were all shocked and frightened. 046, you can get a divorce. If you two have no relationship, with his status, would he help you? Do you think you, Fang Jinnian, are really that charming, or do you think I, Jing Nancheng, am a fool who can't see the flirts between you two? Jing Nancheng's words became more and more outrageous, and his tone became higher and higher, and he almost shouted at the end. The humiliation and questioning, as heavy as rocks, fell down, echoing in every corner of the villa. No one dared to utter a word, but just stared at the two people on the stairs with wide eyes. But just as he finished his words, there was a crisp sound above the living room. Fang Jinnian raised his hand and slapped Jing Nancheng in the face. The force was quite strong and 5 red finger marks immediately appeared on Jing Nancheng's face. His face was also tilted. He was stunned for a moment and didn't react for a long time, as if he had not expected Fang Jinnian to hit him. Not only him, but also the servants downstairs and Song Shuqiu were stunned by this scene. Fang Jinnian's fingers were stiff, her palms were burning. She glared at Jing Nancheng and said word by word, Jing Nancheng, everyone in the world has the right to humiliate me, except you. You don't deserve it. In this marriage, who was unfaithful first? Who brought another woman to my wedding room on my wedding day?
Jing Nancheng, it was you? Yes, I am pregnant with someone else's child, and I was pregnant willingly. After being married for so long, you put me aside. Don't you just want to humiliate me and make me suffer all the embarrassment? But, Jing Nancheng, you underestimate me too much. Since you can take no responsibility for me, why should I foolishly waste my entire life on you? You and I are just the same, and no one has the right to say anything. Fang Jinnian forced herself to say these words against her will, even at the cost of throwing away her own dignity. She knew that at this point, the relationship between her and Jing Nancheng had really come to an end. Since there was no possibility of turning back, she didn't mind letting them fall apart more thoroughly. At least in this way, she could convince herself, Fang Jinnian, don't be stupid, don't love this man anymore, it's over between you two. Jing Nancheng couldn't believe what he heard. He raised his eyes and looked at her. His eyes seemed to be stained with blood, so red that Fang Jinnian's heart trembled. She clutched the hem of her clothes tightly, and her nails were completely sunken into her palms. She didn't feel any pain. She just stared at Jing Nancheng's angry face and looked at him calmly. Fang Jinnian, say what you just said again. Jing Nancheng gritted his teeth and ordered. Fang Jinnian looked him in the eye without any fear and replied, not to mention saying it once, saying it 10,000 times will not change this fact. Jing Nancheng, don't think that every man is as dirty and filthy as you. If you feel unwilling, you can divorce me. When he heard the last word, divorce, Jing Nancheng's pupils shrank violently, and the force of pinching her neck suddenly increased a lot. Fang Jinnian's face turned pale in an instant, and even the color of her lips changed. Divorce. Fang Jinnian, who gave you the right? What qualifications do you have to say these two words? Have you forgotten so quickly? At the beginning, you sold it to me at a clearly marked price. Jing Nancheng shouted the word sell from the bottom of his throat. The sharp word seemed to be wrapped in poison. 047, meeting at the best age, ending in the cruelest way. Divorce. Fang Jinnian, who gave you the right? What qualifications do you have to say these two words? Have you forgotten so quickly? At the beginning, you sold it to me at a clearly marked price. Jing Nancheng shouted the word sell from the bottom of his throat. The sharp word seemed to be wrapped in poison. When it comes to divorce, it is Jing Nancheng who has the final say and decides when it will be her turn. Thinking of what she had just said, the veins on Jing Nancheng's forehead suddenly jumped again. He really wanted to strangle this woman to death. Fang Jinnian was almost strangled by him and she didn't even have the strength to struggle or resist. A layer of mist gradually appeared in her eyes. She tried hard to open her eyes a little, wanting to say something back to him, but no sound came out of her throat. In front of her blurry eyes, all the past events resurfaced. On the first day of college, he hit her with his car and she had to lie at home for 3 months. To this day, there is a scar on her right leg that cannot be healed. When the freshman joined the club, coincidentally, she was selected to join the club with him as the president. Practice, competition, dinner, travel. Contact after contact, getting close to him again and again, she gradually fell in love with this unruly young man, but she had been carefully cherishing this feeling until the day she married him. She never expected that he would respond to her feelings, but she never thought that they would become enemies one day. Maybe, this is fate. It starts at the best age and ends in the cruelest way. Madame Liu, who was downstairs, was the first to come back to her senses. Seeing Fang Jinnian, who was dying under Jing Nancheng's command, she ran up without caring about being afraid. Master, please let go. You'll strangle the young mistress to death. Get out of here. I'm going to strangle her to death here today. This woman deserves to die. Young master. Aunt Liu was so frightened by the terrifying hostility on Jing Nancheng's face that she dared not move forward and just stood there at a loss. Song Shuqiu on the other side also recovered from her shock. She ran up quickly and pulled Liu Ma away. Liu Ma, you have also been bewitched by this woman, right? Didn't you hear those shameless words she just said? You even dared to plead for her. She deserves to die 1,000 times or 10,000 times. Song Shuqiu scolded Liu's mother and glared at her daughter-in-law. She had no intention of persuading her son to let go. Instead, she felt that what he did was the right thing to do. Seeing Fang Jinnian gradually losing her temper, Aunt Liu was so anxious that tears came to her eyes. Madam, no matter how unforgivable the young mistress's crime is, this is a life. No, it was 2 lives. Madam, master, please think twice. If someone is killed, it will be very troublesome. Mamar Liu could only persuade him earnestly. Jing Nancheng stared at his subordinate's face, which was as pale as a piece of paper, and inexplicably flashed back to the scene 4 years ago when he hit her with his car. She was also lying in front of his car, lifeless. The heart seems to be stabbed by something. 048, don't even think about freedom. As soon as her fingers loosened, Fang Jinnian's thin body went limp along the handrail and was about to fall downstairs. Mother Liu was so frightened that her breathing became tight and she subconsciously reached out and grabbed her. Young madam. Fang Jinnian lifted her heavy eyelids slightly, and then everything went dark before her eyes. She fainted and completely lost consciousness. Despite this, her hands were still firmly protecting her lower abdomen. Madam, wake up! Aunt Liu shouted anxiously and quickly used her hand to check her breath. Fortunately, she was still breathing. Master, the young mistress is still breathing. Aunt Liu looked at Jing Nancheng for help, wanting him to order the family doctor to come. She could see that the young master did not really want to kill the young mistress. Jing Nancheng stood there, never saying a word, just staring coldly at the unconscious woman at his feet. In his deep pupils, all kinds of emotions were surging violently. Fang Jinnian woke up in the middle of the night. She had just moved her eyelids, and before she regained consciousness, a cold voice fell in her ears. Fang Jinnian, you want a divorce, you want freedom, I tell you don't even think about it, this marriage will end sooner or later, but when and how to divorce are all up to me, Jing Nancheng, to decide. You are not qualified, I will let you know what will happen if you betray me, Jing Nancheng. Every word the man spoke was cold and ruthless, with a murderous brutality. Fang Jinnian moved her still bloodless lips, wanting to say something back to him, but no matter how hard she tried, her whole body felt like it was trapped by a hemp rope and she couldn't move. Gradually, fatigue came over her again and she fell asleep again. It was as if everything that just happened was just a dream. It was already the next morning when Fang Jinnian woke up completely. She slowly opened her eyes and looked at the familiar decoration in front of her. She was dazed for a moment. Jing Nancheng's ruthless words yesterday still echoed clearly in her ears. She knew in her heart that it was not a dream at all, but reality. Madame Liu had been guarding her bedside. When she saw her wake up, she shouted in surprise, Madam, you're awake. Fang Jinnian moved her eyes and looked at Liu Mar. Seeing the worry on her face, her heart warmed up. She forced a smile at her, indicating that she was fine. She supported herself with her hands and tried to sit up, but as soon as she exerted force, she groaned in pain. Her throat was also burning with pain, as if it had been cut by a blade. Madam, don't move. I'll help you. Aunt Liu quickly helped her sit up, and considerately put a pillow behind her back for support. Thank you. Fang Jinnian thanked him reluctantly. In fact, she knew without looking that her neck and wrists must be in a horrible state. Sure enough, there was a circle of bruises on her wrists, which was extremely scary. These injuries were all caused by Jing Nancheng yesterday. Now that I think about it, I'm really lucky that I was able to wake up. Madam, I made some porridge and stewed some tonics. You should drink more while it's hot. Aunt Liu knew that she was pregnant now, so she specially stewed some tonics suitable for pregnant women to supplement nutrition. She handed the things over. Fang Jinnian looked at the bird's nest still steaming in her hand, and her eyes couldn't help but get wet. After what happened yesterday, it was probably only Liu's mother who would treat her like this. Those servants, probably already classified her as a woman who didn't keep her chastity and scolded her from head to toe. Fang Jinnian didn't have much of an appetite, but he didn't want to waste Liu Mar's kindness, so he took it anyway. Just at this moment, there was a noise at the door, and then the door was pushed open from the outside. 049, poison that evil creature to death. Song Shuqiu and Jing Qianqian strode in, as if they had calculated the time precisely and knew that she would wake up at this time. Madam, second miss. Aunt Liu greeted. Song Shuqiu snorted coldly, still brooding over what happened yesterday when Liu Mar tried to mediate. Jing Qianqian also spoke in a sarcastic tone, Liu Mar, so you're here. I just looked for you and couldn't find you. I thought you were missing. Second miss, is there something wrong? Upon hearing Jing Qianqian's words, Liu Mar asked immediately. It's not a big deal. I just lost a white dress and I want to wear it. I want you to find it for me. Jing Qianqian said in a delicate voice like a young lady. Liu Ma was stunned. She was asked to find clothes. This. Usually, Jing Nancheng's clothes are taken care of by special servants. Not only are there a lot of them, but each piece is also very valuable. Although Liu Ma is in charge of a lot of things, she has never intervened in this regard. Jing Nancheng is a fussy person and doesn't want people like her to touch her noble clothes. Therefore, Liu Ma rarely even enters her dressing room, let alone a white dress. She may not even have seen it. I haven't found it yet. Please go find it for me. I'm in a hurry to wear it when I go out. Oh, and, Aunt Liu, there are a lot of things to do in this family. You're taking care of an outsider, and there's no one to arrange many things downstairs. Jing Nancheng's words were full of warnings and hints. Mother Liu has worked in the Jing family for decades and is considered a member of this family. Jing Nancheng was also raised by her. Before Fang Jinnian came into the family, she had never heard Jing Nancheng speak to her like this. Neither she nor Fang Jinnian were fools, so they naturally understood what she meant. Second miss, I'll go find it for you right away. Mother Liu was afraid that she would implicate Fang Jinnian, so she quickly responded and went out to look for her. Fang Jinnian raised his eyes and glared at Jing Nancheng coldly. Fang Jinnian, why are you staring at me? Did I say anything wrong? You still have the nerve to stay in the Jing family. You've cheated on my brother and you're pregnant with someone else's child. Aren't you afraid that you'll poison that child to death if you eat these things? 050, green tea bitch. Jing Nancheng, please be careful with your words. Fang Jinnian warned her coldly. She had been tolerant in everything since she married into the Jing family. Because she was Jing Nancheng's sister, Fang Jinnian told her not to take it to heart no matter what she said or did. As her sister-in-law, she should be more tolerant of her. But she cursed her child like this, so she couldn't tolerate it. Fang Jinnian, what qualifications do you have to ask Nancheng to be careful? What qualifications do a despicable woman who doesn't even observe the code of conduct for a woman have to say such things? Song Shuqiu walked up and screamed in anger to defend her daughter. Nancheng doesn't want to divorce you. Fine, we respect his decision. But our Jing family will never tolerate this bastard in your belly. Either you convince Nancheng to divorce you and leave the Jing family with this bastard, or you go to the hospital and abort him now. Song Shuqiu said without any room for negotiation. Fang Jinnian replied without even thinking, I won't abort this child. Song Shuqiu and Jing Nancheng were both stunned by the determined look on her face. Fang Jinnian, do you want to divorce my brother? Jing Nancheng asked. Isn't this the result you want? Fang Jinnian knew what the mother and daughter were thinking better than anyone else. Although it was not easy to persuade Jing Nancheng to divorce, he was the kind of person who would stick to it once he made up his mind. But no matter how difficult it was, she would give it a try. Leaving aside the issue of the children, if they continue to live with such estrangement between them, they will only torture each other and no one will be happy in the end. Fang Jinnian, you still have some self-awareness. It's the best thing for you to divorce my brother. In this way, not only can you leave here with your evil child, but my brother can also get rid of you, a woman who brings bad luck to him. Everyone will be happy. Jing Nancheng snorted, and every word she said was extremely unpleasant. Everyone is happy. Oh, yes, their divorce is a good thing for everyone, and Shi can also take the position legitimately. Fang Jinnian smiled bitterly in his heart, but ignored the mother and daughter. He just lifted the quilt, got off the bed, and went straight to the bathroom. An hour later, Fang Jinnian got out of the taxi and stood in front of Jing's yard. She looked up in a daze at the tall building that soared into the sky. In her heart, all kinds of feelings surged at once. She took a deep breath and walked inside. As soon as she stepped into the hall, many people noticed her. The receptionists and security guards who usually greeted her warmly, today, all stayed at their respective posts dutifully, without moving an inch. Their eyes on her were filled with undisguised sarcasm and contempt. It seems that the hotel incident has already spread throughout the company, and I'm afraid everyone also knows that she is pregnant. Well, the truth will be known to the world sooner or later anyway. It makes no difference whether it's one day earlier or later. Fang Jinnian told himself not to care about those looks and just strode towards the elevator. I didn't expect that she was this kind of woman. She actually gave President Jing such a big green hat. As the saying goes, you can't judge a book by its cover. There's a popular term on the internet right now, green tea bitch. It's referring to people like her. That's right, but how can she still have the nerve to come to the company? If I were her, I would want to commit suicide right now. How can I have the face to come out and see people? Some female employees were whispering, and Fang Jinnian heard it, but there was no ripple on her face, as if she didn't hear anything. The elevator just came down, and she stepped straight in, blocking out all the humiliating remarks. After a while, she went directly to the president's office on the 28th floor.